Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my cozy corner. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm just a regular college student at Kelsey Dominguez. But if you're not new here, welcome back to the chaos. So I'm going to try something a little bit different on my channel. I've been saying that for the past couple of videos, or if you've seen my 24-hour readathon challenge, that was where I think I first said that I'm going to try something a little bit different. Probably said it a couple more videos back, but that doesn't really matter. The point is, I do want to implement more video blogs. So vlogs of reading vlogs in my channel throughout the month. And I'm thinking maybe once a month I'll try a video log. I'm sorry. I'll try a reading vlog, there we go, on my channel and just see how it goes, because I think they're really fun. I love watching YouTubers do these little reading vlogs, and they look super fun, look super cute. It's super fun to see their reactions on the books that they're reading in real time, or not real time, because obviously you know that they probably read this a couple weeks ago and they just edited the video and uploaded it. But the point is, I want to try that. So the next 2 months I'm going to be trying a series that is really controversial on YouTube, and I don't have TikTok, but Book Talk as well, from what I've heard, and of course Instagram as well. It is the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Fun fact, my name is Jennifer. I go by Jen, but we do share the same name. So I'm hoping maybe we'll share similar, I don't know, maybe what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping that I'll really like her series, but I am really scared. I do have the reading order, which I'll pop up here, of what I'll be reading for the month, and while I do have the books put away, I'll be reading them as and when I read them, and letting you know my thoughts as and when I have them. And I think what I kind of screwed up on last time is I would read the book throughout the day. I wouldn't record my reading portion of it, and then I would just eventually kind of think about what to say of how I thought about it later. And what I think I'm going to do this time is, knowing that I read while I'm going to work, while I'm going on the bus and public transportation and stuff, I do read a lot, but I don't feel comfortable recording, and obviously I don't want to record on a bus type stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and as I'm reading the book, if I have a thought, I'll go ahead and put it in my notes section on my phone. And then at the end of that day, I'll come back to you guys and have a little, this is what I read today, and this is what I felt about it, and these are my thoughts on the book so far. I am really scared because you really love this series, or you really hate it. The YouTube channel and the YouTube channel Honest Fiction loves this series to death. But I believe a couple of other YouTube videos, or YouTubers, I think Jamie Falk tried to read the From Blood and Ash book, and she didn't like it. Don't quote me on that, because I could be totally wrong. But I know that it's a very controversial, you either love it or you hate it type of series. And because it is so long, that is what is making it so daunting. It's like reading the Throne of Glass series on 12. I'm pretty sure there's at least 12 books in this series, including the prequel and the ongoing series. There's the Blood and Ash series, and then there's a Flash and Fire series, and you're supposed to read them tandemly, and certain books are supposed to be put in certain orders. And so I went online and looked at the orders, the reading order, and I have that in my little Google document. But I'm going to go ahead and split that up between 2 months. So this month I'll be reading the first half of the series, and then next month I'll be reading the second half of the series. I do have all of the books except for one or two, but they are on Kindle, so I'll just go ahead and buy it as I get to it. It is towards the end, so I'll probably read it, or read those next month and buy them next month. So it isn't going to be too crazy. However, next week is going to be kind of busy for me, just because I am going to be officially starting my in-clinic training. So I'll be going to different clinics, or no, that's a lie. I won't be going to different clinics across LA yet, but I will be at a I'll be in Redondo Beach for a month and a half, just training and stuff. And so I do want to make sure that I give myself the time that I need to really perform well as a medical assistant. I don't want any issues. I want to have a good month, good training type of stuff. And obviously having that reading time, in my downtime and stuff, on my breaks and whatever. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and pop up in the middle of the day and just be hey, this is what I read. This is how many pages I read. And this is what I thought on it so far. I don't think this is gonna definitely be a spoiler free reading vlog. I'll just have I know that Larry kind of every once in a while she'll be oh, this is a random sentence in a book, and I think I'm gonna try to follow that. However, I'm not gonna have a sit down reading situation where I speed up the time, because I don't know, editing that video, that 24-hour readathon challenge, it was a pain in my butt. It was 4.5 hours long, and I had to cut that data down to, or cut that video stuff down to a solid hour video, and that in itself was really annoying, because it ended up coming down to 2 hours, and just under 2 hours. And I was dude, editing this, going through that whole thing, I think I just really burnt myself out. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of things today. I do have to meal prep for the week. I also need to go to Rite Aid to pick up my prescription. But I think at the end of today, I'll do a little check-in and say, hey, this is what I read today. This is how many pages I read today. these were my thoughts on them, and then kind of continue it like that, I guess. So yeah, see you guys in a bit. Apologies for the jump scare here. However, I may have had an edible. It may be hitting me. I may be ready for bed. And guess what? I had a wonderful day at my new job. Did I get up early as fuck in the morning? Did I also forget to, what do you call it? Sleep? Yeah, I had literally no sleep before in the morning to get ready. Didn't work out until just now, which is why, apologies for the jump scare. No muscles there. No muscles there. Anyway, so, what's up, Shortcake? I love the book. It is so cute so far. They had their second kiss and intimate scene, and it's going swimmingly. Truly, I'm waiting for the drama to start. I'm waiting for some shit to hit the floor. So buckle up, Cupcake. We're gonna roll out. Okay, this is too cringy. I'm out. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, besties. It is a Tuesday night, and I'm so tired. Like, listen, getting up at 5 a.m., 4 to 5 a.m., depending on if I have the energy to and will to work out that day, it's just taking a toll. But luckily and thankfully, I have had this here tome of a book. Yes, there is a band-aid as the bookmark. Here we go. I ended up getting it from, or I'm acting as if I bought it. No, I got this as a as a feel better gift from my little nurse visit that I had a couple months ago, where I got a chemical burn from OChem. Organic chemistry, chemical burn, girly, who are you? Anyways, look, doesn't matter. I had just have a fuck ton of them, and I ended up using one of them as a bookmark. But that being besides the point, I did finish this book, this controversial book, which I don't even know if I properly gave it an intro. So this is from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And if you don't know, you either love this book or you absolutely hate it. And I liked it, okay? I kind of liked it. Because literally last month, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just would have preferred to read this as a child, as a kid, as a person in their early teens. I feel like I would have enjoyed this book so much more. I'm talking about the Daughter of the Moon Goddess duology, the oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. The oh my gosh, the Shadow and Bone trilogy. There we go. I feel like I would have preferred that as a child or as a kid or whatever the fuck. But anyways, I what I'm trying to say is I was missing that spice, and Girly spiced her up. Okay, so look. Again, I was horrible at introducing this, but From Blood and Ash follows Poppy, who is the maiden of this land, I guess. Basically, she's supposed to be like some like cutesy, demure, like very elegant, very sweet, very like never had sex before in her life. And at a certain point, she's gonna grow up, I guess, and become or she is the chosen. She's already considered the chosen, the maiden, the chosen, whatever the fuck. Like that's who she is. And I'm having a hard time. Am I getting high? Is this what it is? No, I think I'm just fucking sleep deprived. But the point is, so yeah, Poppy, she ends up deciding one night that she wants to go to a bar and experience what it's like to go to a pub slash brothel, I guess it is. It's basically a brothel. She meets this guy, and his name is Hawk, and he ends up meeting, or she ends up meeting him again later on. Turns out this is a ploy. He's trying to get close to her. He wants to be her guard. But I'm not going to spoil too much of it because obviously you should go read it yourself and, think the thoughts that you will think. But not my cat just elegantly jumping into the air onto the floor. Okay, that's uh ADHD is wild. But anyway, he later ends up becoming her guard. And by the way, this whole world centers around vampires, werewolves, and zombies that are a I guess subspecies of vampire. Basically, like if a vampire tries to turn a human, the human turns into a zombie, but it's not a regular zombie, it's a vampire zombie. So it's like, I don't know, it's a vampire zombie. That's all I know about it. But yeah, so this whole I guess realm is overrun by these zombies and stuff, and these beings called the Ascended are who Poppy is kicking it with. And well, not kicking it with, she's more like being controlled by them. They're like grooming her high key. And so anyways, so back to Hawk and Poppy. Hawk and Poppy. I don't know why we're putting those words together. It's funny. Yeah, so he ends up becoming her guard, and then stuff happens. Like a whole. I'm trying not to spoil this book, but like a whole bunch of stuff happens, and they end up having to like get out of town. They get out of town. They go to this like safe house, I guess, and some shit goes down. She ends up finding some stuff out about this guy, this hawk tour. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God, that was cringy as fuck. Oh my God, that was so bad. Okay, anyway, yeah. So she ends up finding some stuff out about him, and this whole time, like, I don't know what it is, but lately I think, well, obviously this book was made like in probably 2014, 2007. I would have to like look up the publishing date. I'll pop it up right here somewhere. um but so many books and so many authors are following the don't need no man, boss bitch energy, can fend for herself, is basically better than all the other men out there when it comes to fighting. So she's good. She's good for herself, whatever. But yeah, it's getting low key kind of old, but I have to like give this book kind of some grace because it was made like a hell of a long time ago. But yeah, so she finds out some stuff about Hawk and some stuff. Oh my God, it's so hard to like articulate some stuff. But anyway, I just ended up writing some notes. There is this moment on, I think it was like page 528. I can't pop up my notes right now, but just because like I'm recording on my phone and my phone has some notes on it. Hi Tilly, hey moms. But there's this scene where it's literally like the okay, so look, it's very serious. It's very serious. Okay. So Poppy's having some trauma and some issues and she's having a breakdown and like Hawk is trying to comfort her and she's like, "Don't touch me! Get away from me, you creepy ass motherfucker!" He's just like, "Come near me." Not come near me again, but he's like, "You don't understand what I can do." It is literally like it's I'm having a hard time articulating it, but it's a moment in Twilight where Edward is like, "To think you can outrun me, whoosh, whoosh. To think you could take me on, whoosh, whoosh." It's so silly. It's when Edward's coming out as a vampire, and why does it sound like he's coming out as a gay guy? Like that's that's besides the point. But it's like, uh, yeah. So essentially, some shit goes down, and I'm having the hardest time articulating this shit, but without spoiling the stuff and whatever. But Bobby finds out that Hawk is not who he says he is, and she's also like high key kidnapped by Hawk. And so now she's in a safe house, trying every minute that she can fucking find to just escape. And she ends up like murking a bunch of people or attempting, and a bunch of stuff goes down. Like she ends up like getting put into a cell and for a couple days, and then like some shit goes down, and she has to like fight off a bunch of wolves, which again, vampires, werewolves, vampire zombies, I guess. That's like the whole like realm, I guess. If you like hear a bunch of cats doing cat shit, don't even talk about it. We're not gonna talk about that. Anyways, my cats are going crazy. It is indeed that time of the night. So yeah, some shit goes down, and then I keep saying that some shit does go down, but I can't fucking spoil it for you guys. But okay, look. Essentially, Poppy is a chosen one, and Hawk is realizing why she's a chosen one, why she's so fucking special, and he realizes that in his ploy to, I guess, save the prince's brother. That's a spoiler there. He's gonna use Poppy as bait. He's gonna use Poppy as bait to get his brother back. Or sorry, to get the prince's brother back. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? I'm gonna gaslight you right now. And she figures that out, and she's like, "Dude, you fucking suck because I'm a virgin. I'm so innocent. I'm a little bean, and you fucking took advantage of that. Fuck you." And she ends up trying to like beat his ass every fucking second that she can find. And he's like, "No, baby girl, I got you. We in this together. What you mean?" Blah, blah, blah. He ends up becoming very controlling at the end, and is like, I get it. I'm annoyed, but I get it. It's a lot of back and forth. My reason why this book was not 5 stars was just because of the lack of communication on purpose. Not the, "Oh, I didn't know he had an ex. What do you mean he's gonna go hang out with his ex and do X things?" No, like he's deliberately withholding information from her, and it's like that's why she's acting like that, or why she's acting crazy, and it's really annoying. But anyways, at the end of it, we have this favor darling moment at the end where they're all sitting at a table having dinner, and this drop of information, which I literally called every fucking second of this plot twist except for one. It's always like that. It's like, "Ooh, we're gonna leave you little breadcrumbs up to the end, and then all of a sudden there will be stuff that will be spoiled for you and like, come out to the open, but there's gonna be one thing that you will never have guessed, and that one thing is." I thought I was gonna tell you, huh? Absolutely the fuck not. But yeah, so some shit comes out at the end, and we have this hello favor darling moment where, you know how Rhysand is like, "We will get married" or some shit. It is like that. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna marry this," or I'm gonna marry Poppy, and she will be my princess. And it's so stupid because the breadcrumbs that they fucking the author left behind in this book was so obvious. I called him being a prince a mile away. That is a spoiler. Oops, I'm so sorry. Please don't get mad at me. It's really not that serious. This book is so fucking old. If you haven't read it by now and have opinions on it, well, that's kind of on you, Loki. This is my channel. This is what I do. This is what we do here. Yeah, so what the fuck was I talking about? Well, yeah, he calls her princess every fucking moment of the day. And she's like, that's not my name. That's not my name. And he's like, well, that's what I'm going to call you. And you can't tell me that you don't like it when I call you my little princess. You know what I'm saying? Riz 2025. What? And it's really cringy. But anyway, a bunch of rambling about probably nothing. But this book, solid 4-star. I wouldn't give it a 5-star just because of the things that I already mentioned, but it was cute. Okay, listen, I was low-key kicking my feet and smiling at some moment. Okay, listen. I did listen to the first half of the book on audio from Everand, and I don't know. I think it was because it was the graphic audio, but I just had a really hard time like paying attention, and I was having a hard time like really thinking about what the plot was going to be like. So I feel like I should have read this time. This time I feel like I should have read the book. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of the series in this year montage here. But I guess next we're gonna be reading The Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and I'm gonna start that tomorrow or the next day or whenever the fuck I feel like it because it is my channel. But I will see you guys in a bit. It'll be like a couple days for me or for you. It'll be the blink of an eye. Look. Watch this. Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, and I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for my day. I am going to the beach today, and my cat is just all over me right now. I don't know why. Usually, go through these little she'll like go through these little spells where all of a sudden she just wants mom and like she just wants attention and she acts like she's been attention deprived for like months, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, today is Saturday, sorry. Today is Saturday and we are going to the beach today. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready, and then I have actually I love I'm sorry, this is like a little bit of a tangent, but I don't really see my friends that often. But when I do, I tend to do it as like a group event just because like if I see Bestie for like if I see Bestie in, 2 months or whatever, or no, if I tend to see Bestie every 2 months and I see this other Bestie like every 3 months, why not just put it together so that everyone like gets to hang out? But the funniest part is like all of these friends don't really know each other. They know each other through me. And I'll like introduce them. I'm like, hey, this is so, this is so and so. And like, they'll like hang out and talk or whatever, but like they're definitely not friends. They're just like, they're here to appease me. Which is like not to sound narcissistic or anything. I just find that it's easier and more feasible to just like meet up and have a group event than to like meet up with Bestie 1 month and then meet up with Bestie 2 months later, then meet up with other Bestie like 3 months later. Like, I don't know. I'm a very busy person. This is just like the easiest way that I have found to, but hang out with everybody. But ramble aside, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready. I'm really thinking that I want to do like a little purpley look. My favorite color, or like one of them, is like a royal purple, and I'm kind of gonna go for that look. But being besides the point, I'm supposed to be updating you guys on my books that I've been reading, the most controversial or like the you either love this book or you hate it type of series. And I'm just like, I'm so excited because I've been literally eating this up breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This freaking book up here, let me grab it. This book up here, oh my god. I started this like 2 days ago. I'm almost done with this book. I am like 50, or technically on Goodreads it says like I'm 51% of the way through, but I'm definitely like this does not look 51%. This looks a solid 60%. But anyway, loving this book. I'm gonna go ahead and give you my thoughts on it in a bit, but I'm gonna get ready and then I'll come back to you in a second, okay? All right, I am officially done with my makeup and everything else. My cat is still being incessantly, like adorably, just very possessive and obsessive at the moment. So if you see her like meowing and rubbing all over me, don't freak out. It's just her like expressing her love. I have been working literally 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., leaving at 4, or no, getting up at 4, leaving at 5:30 in the morning just to like catch the bus. So she has not been seeing me because I get home late at like, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So she's probably missing her mommy time right now. But it's funny because whenever I come home, she's like giving me the side eye and is like, "Where have you been all day?" Then I'll like go up to her and pet her, and she's like, "Ew, get away from me." So it's like it's on her time as always. She's just always been like that. It's super cute, super adorable. But anyway, yeah. So if you see her like rubbing up on me, that's why. But anyway, I wrote down my stuff, my thoughts in my notes because I knew that I was gonna be using my phone to record, and I just didn't feel like I don't know, doing the hook back and forth between my phone and my what do you call it, my iPad. So I figured maybe writing my notes down in my notes would like be a little bit more helpful. So I know that what do you call it? I know that did I really say Kingdom of Ash? Oh my gosh, this is not a Kingdom of Ash book. This is the Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Anyways, get it right, Jen. Anyway, so I don't know where I left you guys off last time, but I do have it in my notes. So if I remember correctly, I was on page 9 of this book when I had thoughts. All right, listen to me. So okay, I don't really want to give too many spoilers of this book just because I understand that this book is kind of old, as in like 5 years old, but isn't quite old, as in like The Throne of Glass. Either you read it or you don't, and you're probably never going to read it type stuff. So, anyway, yeah, thoughts on page 9. Landel is okay, so it's really weird because at the end of the second book, I'm sorry, at the end of the first book, we're kind of like knowing that what do you call it, that Poppy is gonna possibly marry what do you call it, his name, oh my gosh, I'm like missing his name is Cass, but you know we also call him Hawk, we also call him Castile, so I'm just gonna say the prince just to make it easier, because we haven't fully decided what we're gonna call him yet. You know what I'm saying? But at the beginning of the book, the prince and Poppy are having dinner at the table with the prince's like not colleagues, but like they're all there for him. They're all like his henchmen and his friends and his not his friends, but like they all work for him essentially. And Landel is one of these guys that are speaking, and basically while the prince is being like, "Oh, girly Papa's gonna marry me," everyone has thoughts. Everyone has some very conflicting thoughts, and Landel, one of these guys who speak these thoughts, kind of was an asshole, I'm not gonna lie. So Poppy, if you've never read the Kingdom of I'm sorry, I keep saying Kingdom of Ash. If you've never read the Blood and Ash book, Poppy is the maiden and she ends up having to like wear a veil, not just to cover her face completely, because obviously she's supposed to like not what do you call it, like not know anybody, not like no, she's not supposed to be seen. There we go. She's not supposed to be seen. So she ends up wearing a veil, but not she doesn't just wear the veil for that. She wears the veil because she has very significant scars on her face that are completely recognizable, and she's very insecure about these things, not as much like she's accepted them as a part of her, but she doesn't really like showing them off is what I'm saying. Like they're not like I don't know how to like say it. If a girl has assets and she flaunts them off, that's maybe why, but these are the opposite of like what Poppy feels. If that does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like my brain's not really on yet, but anyway, ADHD still going crazy. So Landel is a complete asshole, okay? And he ends up saying like to the prince, basically like conflicting with his decision to marry Poppy and make her his fiance. He's like, if you do this and it well no, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, you do this and it will be the downfall of our kingdom. I will not choose that scarred faced bitch. And I was like, whoa, that is extremely no, not fatphobic. That is very discriminatory, sir. She cannot fix that. That is a part of her. She can't choose what the heck she looks like. And so no, not Landel. The prince gets very, very heated. Obviously, rightfully, of course. We love a king who literally we love a king who will like protect our girl and stuff. He tears this man's throat out, not his throat, he tears this man's heart out and places it on the plate, the dinner plate, and everyone's just kind of like used to this at this point. It was giving a Klaus Michelson moment. If you know, you know. The originals is where like we really see Klaus blossom or like come out of his shell and just like show who he really is, and it was just one of those moments. Just like I am picturing in my head some I'm gonna try and describe it. It's so ridiculous. I'm like what do you call it? I'm picturing this person in my mind where probably Klaus Michelson. He's just like he just did this horrible thing, and he's just like, oh, gosh, this is gonna be so cringy. Oh my gosh! But like I'm picturing him like just standing up, panting, looking at the ceiling, looking down at the heart on the table, and being like, yeah. Does anybody else have anything to say about my wife? And I'm just like, oh, my heart, what the heck? Anyway, so page 9 is where we're getting off with the shenanigans. So then on page 38, after another's failed escape attempt, okay, so Poppy decides to run out into the middle of the woods again. We know this, she just doesn't want to be here, which honestly valid, but yeah, so she ends up failing another escape attempt. And what is it? So okay, how do I describe this scene? So after Poppy escapes, they end up, well, obviously the prince comes and gets her, and I believe that he brings her back to the chambers. And something I forget what the specific scene is. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me like bring up the book. Let me bring up the book because I need to, cross-reference my notes, you know what I'm saying? So page 38, I've read so much of this book already, but let me just go back a little bit and, stand on what I said, you know what I'm saying? So on page 38, let me see. Okay, so they're still outside. They're still outside, all right? Most people aren't as insane as you. Oh, okay. Um, so Poppy says most people aren't as insane as you, as to the prince, and he says back, "That's not a very nice thing to say." He scraped harder with his sharp teeth just below where he bit me before, and I gasped as my body jerked. And the truth is, you like my brand of insanity. And so Poppy denies this, and she says, "My blood pounded through me in a dizzying push. I don't like anything about you." He laughed as his lips skimmed the side of my throat. "I love how you lie." "I'm not lying," I denied, wondering if he nudged my head to the side or if I had done that. "It couldn't have been me." And I was like, "Girl, you're in denial. It's all right. You can say that you like him. I know you're mad, but you know what? You're gonna be fine. You're doing great, sweetie." And so yeah, I would just kind of this has kind of been like the whole book. I'm like low key kicking my feet because the banter is bantering, the spice is spicing. Like I was missing the spice last month, you guys. Like I just, I was reading freaking young adult that had nothing. Like it was close ended. There was zero spice. There was zero build up. I'm just like, oh, what the heck? And so now that I have it, I'm just like, oh, so woony. Oh my goodness. But anyways, what I put as a note, I was like, LOL, deny all you want, baby girl. You know you like him. You're just mad and afraid to admit it. I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. So then on page 70, because of course we have to jump to the shenanigans again. Um, the two main characters are settling in for the night after the prince finally decides to use his own chambers for one. So, bit of context: in the beginning of the book, I believe Poppy is in the dungeons at the moment, and she's just like having a hard time. She's trying to escape. She's being mad. I get it, totally valid. And then that's at the end of the first book, and then in the second book, she ends up waking up in her new chambers, which is like another prison, essentially what she calls it. But it's like it's a full bedroom. It's a full ass bedroom, and I guess that bedroom is the prince's bedroom, and he finally decides to sleep in his own chambers for once. And what do you call it? Poppy, of course, is opposed to this due to her overwhelming conflicting feelings for her, and they end up sleeping in the same bed. So of course we get that one bed trope, and she ends up mentioning like, here, let me pull back to the. I feel like I'm going to be cross referencing a lot and just going back to that same page and talking about it. So that's what we're gonna do. And if it looks cringy, just like don't talk to me. It's okay. This is my channel. If you don't like it, then leave. You know what I'm saying? But obviously stay because we're having a good time over here. What was I talking about? Yeah. So with my back to him, I stared at the knife. The blade was bent, and I sighed. And I sighed. Why am I saying it like that? A moment later, there was a click, and the room darkened. He turned off the oil lamp by his side of the bed. His side of the bed? We don't have sides. I tucked the blanket up to my chin as I shifted focus to the fireplace. My mind wandered back to something that shouldn't matter but did. "Why did you tell me?" I whispered, not even sure if he was awake or why I was asking. He already answered. "Why did you have to tell me that Hawk was your middle name?" The fire crackled, spitting sparks, and I closed my eyes. Seconds, maybe minutes later, Castile said, "Because you needed to know that not everything was a lie." I'm having moments. I'm having thoughts, and I think I just got over my period, so obviously I'm still like quite emotional. I just put my birth control in, and of course we're already here. We're already ovulating, not ovulating, but it's like we're already very emotional. We need the man. We want the man. We don't need the man. We thoughts and thoughts. So yeah, I thought it was really funny because this entire book, she's kind in the last book as well, she's kind of in denial. Like she felt hella betrayal from this man, and he's like doing this, she's trying to like make it up to her, and they end up having this fake dating trope or fake marriage trope, and of course we already know how that's gonna go. But then on page 208, so yeah, we do jump quite a bit here. This entire page, I wrote saying, "This entire page my heart is doing the thumpity thumpity." Let me go back to it so I can tell you guys why I'm saying that. Okay, so this is page 208. All right, let's do that. Let's go back. And oh, that was too far. Let's go back just a little. Oh, perfect. Okay, so I believe that this is a spicy scene. And of course, Girly Pop is still in denial, but yeah, okay. Oh, this is the pantry scene. Oh my gosh. Okay, so not no context needed. After some of it happens in the living room, the dining room, Poppy ends up going back to her chambers, and Castile, the prince, ends up what do you call it? What do you call it? Um, chaperoning her? No, escorting her. There we go. He's escorting her, and he ends up pulling her ass into a pantry. And he's like, I just wanted a moment alone with you. I just need to tell you something." And she's like, "And you needed this moment alone in the pantry?" He turned his head slightly, lining up his mouth with mine. "I just needed." And I was like, oh. And literally, she says, tiny shivers hit every part of me. I opened my mouth to tell him that whatever he needed didn't involve him and me in the pantry, but nothing came out. No protests, no warnings. I simply stared at him, waiting and wanting. I know how hard that had to be for you. His lashes swept down as his breath danced over, hit my lips. Going in there with your abilities, opening yourself up to the pain. Oh, okay. So this is like a moment where I remember the scene specifically. Poppy ends up doing this big thing for herself, and she has a hard time like expressing her gift anyway. Her gift is like being able to read emotions and then also help people not feel pain and feel better. And she ends up after a terrible scene. There's a bunch of people like in this room that are on like bed cots. A lot of them are like either really injured or dying, and she ends up going there to every single person and like relieving their pain. And it's just like this moment of like awe for the prince. And so he just he wanted to make it up to her. You know what I'm saying? My fingers curled around the edge of a shelf. It was nothing. That's a lie, princess. His mouth was closer, just a breath from mine. You did it, even though you felt their fear and distrust. It was everything. I felt my lips part, and that's what you needed to tell me in the pantry. This whole time, like there's like three parts in this where she's like, and you needed to tell me that in the pantry, like you couldn't tell me that anywhere else. And he's like, he shook his head, causing my breath to hitch when my lips glanced at, or no, when his lips glanced out off the corner of mine. I wasn't done. Sorry, I murmured. Please continue. Thank you for your permission, he replied, and I could hear the smile in his voice. There are many times when I'm in utter awe of you. I stilled every part of me. Oh, I'm gushing already. Oh my goodness. I shouldn't be surprised by what you're capable of, he went on. What you're willing to do. But I am. I'm always in awe of you. And I'm just like, he knows he wants to say I'm in love with you, but he can't because there's this arranged marriage type of situation going on. And it's just everything. A tugging sensation pulled in my chest. I'm sorry. A tugging sensation in my chest stole a little bit of my breath. Is that what you needed to tell me when you pulled me into the pantry? I'm still not done, princess. And my pulse thrummed. No, no. His forehead dropped to mine. There is one more thing I need. Something that I've needed for days, weeks, months, maybe forever. The bridge of his nose brushed mine. But I know you won't allow it. Not like this. The pounding in my heart moved lower. What? What have you needed for so long? You. And I was like, oh! Oh my goodness. The audacity. Sorry. So leaning into the cupboard, I felt dizzy, as if I weren't getting enough air in my lungs. Pretend? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I shuddered. Maybe just for a few moments, when no one is looking, when there is no one but us, we can pretend. Leaning into the cupboard, I felt dizzy, as if I weren't getting enough air into my lungs. Pretend? We pretend that there's no yesterday, no tomorrow. It's just us right now, and I can be Hawk. So Hawk is who she met in the beginning in the first book, and he ends up, coming out to her as Castile, and now she's having like conflicting feelings about that because obviously, um, yeah, he said in the heated space between us. I shook once more. He touched my cheek, sending a bolt of awareness through me. So why is it so hard to speak today? His fingers drifted over to my chin, his fingers drifted over my chin, my lower lip. You can just be Poppy, and we can simply share a kiss. A kiss? He nodded. Just pretend. His lips now a whisper against my cheek. Just a kiss. I shouldn't. There had to be 100 reasons why. It blurred the lines of who we were. I told him that it would never happen again. He was using me. I was using him. Kissing wasn't wise. Even with all that I didn't know, I knew enough to realize that that it never stopped with the touch of the lips. And even when it did, there was always more, wanting, needing. And I wasn't sure how I even felt about him, since my feelings toward him seemed to change every 5 minutes. Girly Pop is bipolar. I just want to say that. This whole book, this whole second book, in the first book, she was bipolar as fuck. One minute she'd be like, "Oh, baby girl," the next minute she'd be like, "I'm gonna stab you," and she does a million fucking times. Sorry, I'm like this whole fucking series. If you can't see, like I've never been this passionate about something in a fucking minute, and I'm just like I'm literally eating it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I could not put this shit down. I had to force myself to go to sleep last night because I was about to finish this. Um, so yeah, blah blah blah. Blah. But either way, I wasn't sure. Either way, I shouldn't allow any of this, and even if I did, everything would be better. Or no, everything would be harder, even more confusing than it already was. Tawny could perfectly sum up what it was now in 2 words: a mess. But a woman was about to die. Her mother said I was still chosen. A man there didn't want my touch. Some in that room feared me, hated me. I could still feel Lord Cheney's teeth in my flesh, even though there were no wounds. I could still see the burning coal of his eyes and feel how I was nothing more than an object to him, food, sustenance, a thing, and I didn't want to feel any of that. I wanted to bask in Castile's awe of me, and maybe I already knew deep down how I truly felt about him. Just pretend? I trembled as the tips of his fingers skated down the side of my throat around to the nape of my neck. Pretend. His lips hovered over mine once more, and they're right there, teasing. I closed my eyes, and my voice barely up more than a whisper. Yes. Ah, you guys, there's so many scenes because Steele understands that he like really hurt this girl, and he's trying to, like the only way that she would agree to marry him is if like there was a fake marriage, like she could leave eventually, and he did that for her because he cares about her and he loves her. And so this whole second book I already know is her like finally like realizing her feelings for him and not like denying herself anymore. And her like, I know that there's gonna be a moment where they're fighting in the middle of it and she's gonna be like, I love you, and then of course they're gonna have some hot steamy sex. But guys, I've cried, I've trembled, I've shivered, I've loved this entire book, and I don't understand why people don't like this. Like, this is a book that I was like, hey. Well, I just broke my glasses, so that was cute. Damn, what the fuck? Okay, so anyways, yeah, now that I've calmed down a minute, yeah, people either really like the series or they really hate the series. Don't read the series for the writing, it's not worth it, but definitely read it for the plot. Read it for the spice because it is there, you guys. It is fucking there. Moving on. This is page 230 now. I have a new phrase that I want to use. So Poppy doesn't know how to ride a horse, and that's just one of those like sheltered things that she was never taught when she was young. And Castile is trying to teach her how to ride a horse, and she's trying to get up there. And my new favorite phrase is, I'm feeling about 7 different kinds of inadequate. I reached up and gripped the horn. Most people knew how to ride by the time they were teens. Now that is an innuendo out of context. It sounds really fucking dirty, but I swear to you, it's innocent, it's pure, it's wholesome. But yeah, I'm about to start using the phrase like, I feel about 7 different kinds of inadequate, because that was me in the medical assistant program. The entire time I'm like, I'm feeling about 12 different kinds of inadequate right now, and I'm scared as fuck, but I'm here because I want to do what I want to do. I'm here to start my future. And yeah, moving on. That was just like a cute little side note. But page 232, I'm about to read I'm gonna read a couple of paragraphs up and then give context. But the phrase that I wrote down was, I didn't offer Castile a piece of me as we rode forward, joining the others. There was no reason to, because what he didn't know is that he already told too many of them. This is Poppy's story of fucking realizing her feelings for him, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it every step of the fucking way. And he's just so patient with her. And his best friend, his bonded Kieran. Oh my god, I need a fucking Kieran in my life. He's literally like Riddick from fucking Fourth Wing, and I love him. So anyway, so this is like finishing up a chapter. No, I lost my bookmark. Oh, but you know what? I think I still have the page. There we go. We're just gonna save that page because we're almost done here. And the people here didn't need to know my experience any more violent. I'm sorry. And the people here didn't need to experience any more violence or heartbreak, as do I. Elijah, this is like very out of context. I'm just reading this page for you. Elijah grinned, stepping back, though I doubt she needs it. Keep her safe, Prince. Oh, so they're about to ride off into the, distance and go somewhere else. But they need to be on horses and shit. Seti trotted forward. The other 3 were waiting, and we ended up in the middle of the group as we rode out into the yard and past the eerie warning the gods had left behind. So yeah, there's a tree in the middle of the road that just like popped up somewhere, and they're just like, what the fuck, how'd you get here? Because this is like fully formed grown ass tree. But anyway, yeah, it's not really relevant. My heart matched the steady thud of Seti's hooves as I gripped the pommel. Where are your gloves? Castile asks. I found my voice I found my voice after a moment in the satchel. They won't do any good there. He switched the reins to his hand that was at my waist, and then he was handing them over. Spessa's End is farther south. They're heading to Spessa's End. That's where they're going. It will be warmer there. I took the gloves, slowly pulling them on while my heart leapt. Up ahead, the roofs of homes came into view. Sparing a look behind me, I saw only the edges of the stone keep before it too disappeared. The mixture of nervousness and anticipation swirling inside me was a strange companion as I turned around. In a few minutes, once we left the rise surrounding New Haven, there would be no more chances to escape if I wanted to. We would be traveling too far to the east. I had to be completely committed to this deal I had struck with Castile, to his plan, because now there was no turning back. By the way, I'm not yours, I told him. I don't belong to anyone but myself. Nothing changes that. And what if I just wanted a piece of you? He shifted the reins to his other hands. A tiny piece that belonged to me. I can think of a few that I would love to have, Princess. He calls her Princess, and it's so fucking cute. He's been calling her Princess since the beginning, and I cannot. Oh, this is cute. Super side note. Here's the top page, but that doesn't really matter. It's just irrelevant. Yeah. My cheeks warmed. I bet you can. His laugh was rough and deep. Tell me what piece of you I can have. It can be any piece of your choosing. Whatever it is, I'll take it. His chin graced my cheek. It will be my most prized possession. I did not offer Castile a piece of me as we rode forward, joining the others. There was no reason to, because what he didn't know was that he already held too many of them. And those are my thoughts from yesterday, okay? Well, not even yesterday, like the past 2 days that I haven't been updating all, this is what I've been gushing over. I've just been too tired because coming home really late and I'm just tired as fuck and I just want to go to bed after doing the little minuscule chores that I have to do. So yeah, thoughts and so many thoughts. And I love this series. I don't know why everybody hates it, but anyways, I'm gonna go record my May TBR video and be mad about it and gush over it and all that stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. So I have thoughts because of course I do. It is still Sunday. I don't believe that I recorded today. I probably recorded a few days ago, but regardless, whatever day it is, it's Sunday. Or however many days it's Sunday. And I just wow. I'm left speechless because I ate this book up. 4.5 stars. I just wow. Okay, so I do have notes. I did write those notes down. However, I definitely need some time to process this because this was a lot. This made me sob at moments and I'm just like, "Oh man. This wow, the Kingdom of Ash book is still like I don't know. This just gives Throne of Glass or not like in any sense of the word, but or the series, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Regardless, all I'm gonna say is that I'm loving the series so far and I can't wait to continue it. I have one more Blood and Ash book, I believe, before I go into the Flesh and Fire series, and I guess that's how you're supposed to read it and stuff. But let me just go ahead and tell you my notes so that I can go to bed because it is like getting pretty late for me, considering I have to get up at 4 in the morning to work out and go to work. But on page 374, I wrote a note for myself to read the whole page for context. But the quote is, "I'm Poppy and you're Castile, and this is real." So that little reminder for myself. Let me go back to page 374. In this book, Poppy's starting to realize her feelings for Castile. And at first, she's in denial for most of the book, and then um, starts to give in and starts to realize that these feelings are real and blah 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 blah. So yeah. So sorry, it's late. I'm tired, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. After dinner, a moment happens where the prospect of marriage is brought up again. The concept of marriage is brought up again, and once again, Castile is faced with the I guess reality that his kingdom, his people doesn't believe that him and Poppy would be a good fit. And something comes out, and we're not going to say what it is, but Poppy's left a little bit insecure, and right? Oh my gosh! Oh, dude, what the heck? Okay, so I'm so sorry. So actually, just disregard everything that I just said. That happens in a later scene, in a later part of the book. The book is like a couple hundred pages over, but they end up going to this hot springs that Castile brings Poppy to as like a this was one of my favorite places growing up or something like that. And after they have some steamy hot sex, or I think when they're about to have some steamy hot sex or something like that, they go throughout this entire book settling on let's just pretend. And if you've read the Powerless trilogy, that's something that's brought up. However, this is definitely not like copy whatever the heck, because obviously the series came out before the Powerless trilogy did. But being besides the point, um in order to, I guess, get off or like to process those emotions, they end up pretending while they're doing the spicy stuff. And at one point during this hot tub scene, he asks her, he's like, "Can we just pretend a little bit more?" And something like that. And she ends up saying, or I'm just gonna read the page for you. "His touch still does he search my face for an answer, and in that moment I realized that this was my life. What existed between Castile and I was neither right nor wrong. It was messy and complicated, and maybe I'd regret this later as I give him more and more pieces of me, but I wanted him. And I was so done denying myself anything. I was done lying to him and myself. Only on one condition, I said. You have a condition now." I nodded, my heart thundering. "I don't want to pretend," I whispered. "I'm Poppy, and you're Castile, and this is real." Oh, and I obviously I wrote that down because it made me fucking emotional because it goddamn did. This entire book has made me cry. This entire fucking book has made me cry. That ending, I had no notes for it. I look. I have no notes. My last note is on page 379 or some shit. That's a lie. 395. But yeah, I just wow. This whole book is just you have to read it for yourself to make your own thoughts. But I love it. I love it. Um, And so going back to the dining hall situation, they're all eating dinner or something like that, and another moment comes up in from the beginning of the book. I think my first note on this thingy was like, "I don't choose her" or something like that. That dumbass Landel had said. And okay, so they're in the dining room again. This is like about a much later part of the book, and Poppy is like saying, or I guess Castile ends up saying how he feels for Poppy, and then Poppy ends up saying how she feels for him, but she's under the impression that Castile is still like pretending. You know what I'm saying? Because she's just not sure yet. Like they haven't like officially declared what the fuck they are to each other. So while she's saying all these things, like she doesn't think that it's real. But um, after everyone, after both parties say their piece, one of the people, I don't know, I forget if they're like on the relationship side or if they're against it, if they're against the relationship. But one of the people says, "Dang, I just don't know what to say." And Castile says, "You don't have to say anything. All of you, just need to accept that this is real." And I'm gonna start crying again because that's what their agreement was to each other literally a bit ago. They were like, "Oh, let's just make this real. Like you and I are Poppy, blah 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 blah." Anyway, Alistair, I'm not sure if I mentioned Alistair is like a uncle figure for Castile. Alistair leaned back in his chair, his gaze heavy and somber. It was Jasper who spoke. So Jasper is Kieran's father, and Kieran is like Castile's like best friend slash bonded person slash like wolf. He has a pet. He's not a pet, but he's like his best buddy, and like he turns into a wolf, and it's really cute. Anyway, so Jasper, his daddy, or he low key, he pretty fine, but that's not the point. Stay on topic. Stay on topic, Jen. It's too late for this shit. It was Jasper who spoke with a faint lift of his lips. If you'd chosen her, then how can we not do the same? In the end, I don't want to spoil the ending of this book, but Poppy has been dealing with a bunch of other stuff too. But like the biggest thing is that she's no longer the maiden, but people still see her as the maiden. And this entire book, she's conflicted with herself because no one likes her. They're like, "Damn, you ugly as fuck, and you the maiden, and you not shit, and blah blah blah." So she's like, "Damn, I'm really not shit. Damn, that sucks. I just want friends. I just want to be buddies with y'all, but y'all don't like me. Oh, discrimination." I'm just kidding. No, actually. And so at the end, Poppy's in this area and she's in awe of all of the architecture and art that's going on. And people come up to her and they're like, "You don't belong here." And they start stoning the bitch. And I'm just like, "God damn, you couldn't bring a tomato. Like, stones hurt." But anyway, so some event happens and we're not going to talk about it. I'm thinking about it in my head. We're not going to talk about it, but some event happens. And it definitely leads you to the next book, and of course it's a cliffhanger, but of course we're fine because we have the next book. But I'm gonna start it tomorrow, and I'll like give you my thoughts on it tomorrow. I'm tired as fuck. I need to like take off all this makeup and go to bed and get up early as fuck, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so it's actually Tuesday, and I'm literally such an idiot. I'm still technically within the area of my job, of my workplace, but I also don't have time. Also, the audio quality is horrible. I also don't have time to just go back and get my book. But needless to say, I'm loving the book so far. I'm also like super upset with myself because I completely forgot my book at my job, which means I'm missing out on 100 pages that I could have read by the time I get home. So, anyways, I'll update you guys tomorrow. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm so mad. I'm so irritated. I was at the good part. I was at the good part. Not that there wasn't any good parts of the other. Not that the book was full of good parts. What I'm trying to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey y'all, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night actually. And if you didn't already tell by yesterday, I was a bit freaked out. I was in a rush to get to the bus, which I ended up missing anyway, so it kind of just didn't really like I could have gone back and got that bag. But regardless, I came to work this morning hoping against hope that my bag, my book, my cookie, my key card to get into my house, my keys would be there. However, comma, they were not. And so I try to stay hopeful, I was like, maybe one of the girls that I was working with saw it and like took it home with them so that like I wouldn't lose it and like, would give it to me this morning. One girl comes and I was like, "Hey bestie, did you see the bag that was there yesterday?" She was like, "Well, I saw it yesterday when I left. It was still there." Oh my gosh, it's gone. And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's not here." And so bestie number 2 came by and I was like, "Hey sweetie, like have you have you seen my bag?" And she's like, "It was there when I left yesterday. I thought like, yeah, I know you forgot to take it home with you." And I was just like, "Well, it should still be there, right?" And I'm like, "No, it should still be there, but it's not." And so I'm just like, fuck, looking around the entire clinic to see if I can't find my bag because of all of the things that were in there, there was one thing that I really couldn't live without, and that was my key card to get into my house. The book would have been a loss, but Kindle is an option. Kindle is the option that I used, and I bought it on Kindle. So I'll be finishing it on there. My cookie is sad because I was really enjoying eating that cookie on the way home. Everything else in there didn't really matter, but it was just ugh. I'm sorry, I'm having a day. It was low key a little bit of a day today. um so when the clinic manager gets there, I end up asking him like, "Hey, did you happen to see, is this in your office by chance? Maybe the cleaning ladies left it there." So long story short, one of the cleaning ladies, or maybe it was a group of them, I don't know. They have the bag, right? They saw it on the floor. They mistook it for trash because it was adjacent to the trash can, which I don't know. If it says UCLA on it and there's stuff in there, I wouldn't personally, think it's trash. But I'm gonna call cap as fuck. I'm gonna call BS. I'm gonna say that they did not mistake it for trash. And I'm gonna say why. I'm gonna say why. And you're gonna kind of like, I want you to think about this for a minute. So I'm just gonna get an example. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna use this bowl of chips as an example. Pretend that this bowl of chips is a bag. They took my book with I'm gonna use these chips as an example. They took my book and my key card because my key card was a placeholder, a bookmark for the book. They took the book, trash. That was a horrible like toss in the trash moment, but like just to pretend like trash. Everything else that was in there, they picked through. They were like, "Oh, this is cute. Hmm. Okay, you're coming home with me. Ooh, you're cute too. Munch, munch, munch." Basically, what I'm trying to say, they picked apart that entire bag, tossed the book, dug through it, and kept the rest. It was deliberate. It was not no, "Oh, I thought it was trash." Girl, if you thought it was trash, why was there so much stuff in there? Why was there hella stuff in there? And why did anybody ask about anything? There definitely would have still been people there that were working, that were UCLA employees. So, be that as it may, the clinic manager realized what the heck was going on, and she found out this was what happened when she emailed the like cleaning supervisor or something like that. And when we found out this, we're like, "Damn, this really really sucks." And so basically I have to go in late tomorrow. I'm still gonna get paid for it. I have to go in late tomorrow because I need to get me a new key card. My book's lost, but they're gonna replace it. It was a hardcover. I did get it at Book Off for a very discounted price, but they're gonna buy it on Amazon because regardless. And so they're gonna buy that. My cookie is probably never coming back, but allegedly, I put air quotes around that. Allegedly, they're supposed to bring it back by today. So I should theoretically have that bag back by tomorrow. Whatever else in there besides the key items that I needed that is of importance, sure, I'll keep it. That cookie would better be in there. Because if not, I really hope they fucking enjoyed it. It was a $2 cookie from 85 Degree Bakery. It was the milk cookie that they have, and it's literally my favorite thing at that bakery besides their milk teas. I love this cookie. It is so good. It is such a sweet. Yeah, so they have this cookie at 85 Degree Bakery. And allegedly I should have my stuff back tomorrow. Reading update. I wrote a couple of notes down. I don't really feel like talking about it. Not because like anything bad happened. I just like I don't feel like getting up. But I read a solid 200 pages today on my phone within a few hours, which is cool. And I'll just talk to you guys about it more when I have more thoughts because I'm not gonna lie, I've probably only written down 2 phrases since picking up that book again. Since the last time I really spoke to you guys. So yeah, that's the update. I'll see you guys later. Bye. All right, besties. It is a few days later. I'm not sure when I last spoke to you guys. It might have been Wednesday, but it is actually Sunday, which means it's a few days later. And I'm not going to lie, most of the stuff did get kind of taken care of. The cleaning crew is going to be replacing my book and reimbursing me for my $25 house key. However, that cookie, bestie's gone. Baby's gone. But anyway, I am not planning to wait for the book to come in that got got like, I guess you could say stolen, but I did pick up the book on Kindle and I did finish it, and I'm now fully into the like first book of the prequel series, and I am absolutely loving it. It is the perfect palate cleanser because there are so many spicy fucking scenes in the previous book, and I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So I have notes though. So I don't really want to spoil too much just because we are like well into the third book at this point, and obviously like I'm well past that as well. So I guess like I don't even know what to say. So after following the events of the second book, very quickly we go into the third, like picking up where we left off. And Cass, he's like currently kneeling on the floor, still in the temple. Everybody's still there. Everybody's so flabbergasted the fuck out of themselves. And so Cass is on his knees. And I just wanted to like ugh, so his mom was like, all hail your powerful, whatever the fuck. And Cass is like one of the first people to kneel. And in her head, Poppy is basically saying, I'm sorry, his people. No, I don't know where to back up. He had been many things to me: a stranger in a dimly lit room who had been my first kiss, a guard who had sworn to lay down his life for mine, a friend who had looked beyond the veil for a maiden to truly see me a friend who had looked beyond the veil of the maiden to truly see me underneath, who handed me a sword to protect myself instead of forcing me into a gilded cage, a legend cloaked in darkness and nightmares that had plotted to betray me, a prince of a kingdom believed to have been lost to time and war, who suffered great imaginable horrors, and yet managed to find the pieces of who he used to be. A brother, like blah 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 blah. She's got her little inner monologue, but the part that really got me was that she called him. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the rest. Right, my first, my guard, my friend, my betrayer. I started like tearing up at this part. My partner, my husband, my heartmate, my everything. Castile Denier bowed before me and stared up at me as if I were the only person in the entire kingdom. I didn't need to concentrate like before to know what he was feeling. Everything he felt was wide open to me. And it was really cute. So moving on. I believe my next note was for page 43. Now this is a plot twist, but I saw it coming a mile away. So we've got an invisible baddie, okay? And we don't know yet. We trust this person, but we do meet them in book 2. I caught onto this like well before everybody else did, obviously, because me being the reader, I see the sign. I'm not you can't fool me. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, we know that there's a big baddie, right? And I cannot express enough how traumatized Poppy was as a child. So, as a child, let me go back to my notes. Poppy had a traumatic event happen to her as a child and is plagued by nightmares every single night. She hears this creepy rhyme at the end of it right before she wakes up. What a pretty flower, what a pretty poppy. Pick it and watch it bleed. Not so pretty any longer. And she spends the first 2 books trying to figure out who was a third party there that night. And in book 3, we find out who it is. I can't say who because it is a big spoiler, but we do meet them after Poppy is kidnapped, and I knew there was something off about this specific character. Turns out I was right. Literally, like in my notes, he says, I knew it in all caps because like it was so obvious. But anyway, yeah. Plot twist. We find out who Poppy's like who murdered her parents, and like we take care of it and all that stuff. And on page 204, okay, so on page 204, this was like really a giddy moment for me, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm so tired of the intimacy and the sex in this book. Like not even the intimacy, just like the spicy scenes, because like every other chapter has significantly long, like 15 plus pages long of just like sex, and I'm like, dude, I would rather y'all have tell me that y'all fucked and like got on with the day. But anyway, because we still have the plot to finish. But anyway, being besides the point, as we know, like Poppy and Castile have this whole thing about getting married and whatever, and that doesn't eventually happen. What is behind that, I'm not gonna say, because that's like, you should go read the book for yourself. But just so you know, it does happen. Um, Castile says, "Now I don't know a lot about being a husband." He says as he places his hands in my lap, and really had no idea where he was going with this. "Do you know what's carved into our rings? It's an old Atlantean," he told me when I shook my head. "But they both say the same thing. Always and forever. That is us." And I'm like, if that ain't some fucking Twilight ass shit, but alright, let's keep moving. um, yes, I whispered, my throat tightening. It is. Obviously, I don't have experience in the whole marriage department, but be that as it may, you're my wife, and that means we don't pretend anymore, correct? That always and forever we are real with one another. I was tearing up a little bit because they've been pretending this whole time to be like, into each other, and they're really not, but now they are. So it's great. Not about anything, not even when you don't want me to worry. I know you're strong and so resilient, and it's fucking unbelievable. But you don't have to always be strong with me. It's okay to not be okay when you're with me, he said as my breath caught. It's my duty as your husband to make sure you feel safe, to be real. You don't have to pretend that you're okay with everything that has happened, Poppy. Oh, dot, dot, dot. Oh, God. And it is like reading it much later, like out of context, it's like, it's very cute. It's very sweet. It's very mushy. But like in that moment, reading this whole thing, I wrote this down because I was low key sobbing at work. I'm like, fuck, the tears are flowing. But anyways, let's move on. Let me go back to my notes. Okay, so on page 527, we are dealing with snakes and we're underground. And Poppy hates snakes for some fucking reason. But it's funny because this comes back up. Um, this comes back up in the next book, which is the prequel to the Blood and Ash series. And our other MC in that character also hates snakes. And we end up finding out that it's an interesting, funny thing. So, yeah. So, I wrote this down because it was funny. Emil is like one of the it's like he's like part of the found family. He's like one of Castile's like trusted friends, and like Poppy ends up becoming his friend or whatever the fuck. He ends up saying, "I regret the decision to join you all." Emil announced, "I regret this decision very much. Snakes. God, I hated snakes. Bile rised up to my throat. God, what the fuck?" Bile rose in my throat as I danced out of the way of the serpents. My scream built up in my throat as several of the other skeletons howled. More black smoke followed. More snakes. Twisting, I shoved my dagger into a soldier's chest. I would have to table what I was seeing and deal with the lifetime of nightmares later. Castile took out a soldier as he slammed his boot down on a snake. The smoke serpent flattened into an oily stain, turning my stomach. I'd also have to vomit about that later. That was funny. I thought it was funny. It was cute. It was funny. Um. Oh, okay. This was another funny thing. On page 592, we're dealing with like the main big bad. We finally like hang out with the Blood Queen for a bit, and we're trying to discuss like how to move on from lifetime and years and centuries of like being fucked over essentially. And so this moment happens. I'm not going to say what, but not Castile, Kieran says, "Oh, come on, man. Where the fuck is it?" Nor, where is it? I literally just saw it. Okay, I don't know why. I literally spent a solid couple minutes before recording this trying to find out where all my notes were, transcribing them from like my books to Kindle. But anyway, this moment happens and the queen's like, "Ta-da!" and Kieran is like, "What in the actual fuck?" And her response, which is now like my newest favorite response, is, "The actual fuck you're no, I'm sorry. Let me like restart that. The actual fuck you're asking about is irrelevant." And I thought that was funny because like the phrase "what in the actual fuck" is used a lot these days. And so like if someone asked me that, the actual fuck is me what you're referring to is, I thought it was funny. That's literally all I wrote down. But I think lastly so something happens, obviously because a bunch of shit happens, but something happens in the last during this meeting, some shit happens and some shit goes down. And in the aftermath, Poppy decides she's got to get her fucking revenge. And she ends up sending a message to the Blood Queen and she's like, "Tell that hoe to prepare for war." And I'm like, that was such a badass fucking event because she did some stuff prior to saying that. And I was just like, damn. She had that bitch by the throat and she said, "Tell that hoe to prepare for war. I'm coming for her." I was enjoying it. So anyway, taking a step back and reading the prequel series, I love this so far because they haven't fucked yet. So it's still like yearning and anguish and oh my god, she's so cute. Why is he twirling my hair like that? Ooh, and so it's cute. So um on page 92, I believe they're in the two characters are in the middle of a little intimacy, you know what I'm saying? And he ends up telling her the MMC. Oh, I guess he like broke her blade and she was mad. And they end up flirting with each other. And he asks her if he's afraid or if she's afraid of him. And she's like, fuck no, I'm not afraid. And they're in a very intimate position right now, right? And he let out another raspy, rough laugh as his fingers slipped under my hood, moving beneath the braid hanging at the nape of my neck. You, he said, his thumb moving in a slow swipe over the side of my throat. There was something about the way he said that. You are trouble. Girl, if anybody said that while my back was against the wall, I would just melt like ice cream on a hot day. I swear to God. Anyway, it was cute, so I wrote it down. Oh, and so I think what my context for that is oh wait, was that, wait a second, oh I just I'm a little silly. So actually I am indeed like halfway through the book. I just haven't written down any notes, and I thought that I did. I swear to God, I thought that I did. But anyways, yeah, so a lot happened. But before we get there, um, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, so during the same scene, I'm sorry, I'm having like a hard time articulating because I don't have my fucking shit in order. But it's fine because I just don't happen to not have the book. But anyway, so I'm not Poppy, sorry, Girly Pop. Her name is Sarah. Is a little distracted at the moment, and she's okay. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a rundown for who like what this book is about. But first, let me take a selfie. Just kidding. Sorry. Yeah. So after that, not Poppy, Sarah decides to remember what she's here for, and the swift change in him in the subject left me reeling for a moment, and I almost sank against the wall as he turned to the body. Why was I here? My gaze flicked to where the woman lay. Oh yes, murder. Okay, so let me just go ahead and give you context. So this book is a prequel to the Of Blood and Ash series, and Sarah, okay, so we basically end up following who the Nyktos is, who's like the god of death, and he ends up having a consort. We don't know who this hoe is. This series is about that hoe. Sorry, she's not a hoe. She's a good person, I swear. And this is her story. So Sarah is this maiden, and she's supposed to be offered up to the gods when she turns 18. However, Nyktos took one look at that hoe and said, ew, bros, disgusting, ew, brother, ew. And he ended up leaving her at the fucking altar, literally. And her family ended up like looking at her with disgust and being like, this is your fault, because she was supposed to be his consort and lure him into her bosomly trap and like murder that person, and then that supposedly was gonna break the curse on their land and give them like rich soil back, because their land is also really fucked right now. I don't understand why she couldn't just ask him to like revitalize the land to begin with, but I don't know, because apparently the god of death is a person who like made the rotted the land and all that stuff, so killing him wouldn't do anything, I don't think. But anyway, this is besides the point. And so now, years later, she's kind of like really treated poorly by her family, and they kind of turned her into an assassin of sorts, and she's meant to kill um undesirables essentially. So like if her sister said, ew, that person's nasty, she'd go kill them. If her mom was like, go take care of this, she'd go take care of it, essentially throw out the trash and kill some stuff. I'm well into the book. I can happily say I'm halfway through the book and loving it. I also didn't write anything down, so not to say that it wasn't good, not to say that it's not memorable and I'm not eating that shit up, but it's so cute. I'm loving it. It's a perfect fucking palate cleanser. But yeah, so Sarah ends up finally, like, it's her story between like her and the god of Nyktos, and who he is and how they end up becoming, and he doesn't recognize her. Oh no, she thinks that he doesn't recognize her at first because she doesn't know who this fucker is. they end up meeting like 3 years later, and this was like, you know, the scenes that I just mentioned and all that. And she's thinking, God, this God, because she knows that she understands that he's a God. She's pushing the brink of like treating him poorly and disrespecting this God, but he's eating it all up, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's like, yes, dirty girl. He's like, yes, baby girl, talk to me dirty, call me names, and disrespect me. I'm eating it up, and it's turning me on. So she's like, ew, you're gross, you're demented, you're disgusting. But he's having a good time. What she doesn't realize is that this is her man's. This is the man's that rejected her at the altar. And what we find out later is he knew that the whole time. But he just doesn't tell her. And so that's like where we're at right now. Something happens where Sarah only almost ends up getting like really fucking murdered by her brother for some reason that I'm not going to tell you about, but he steps in at the end of it, and or like before it could not project further, continue further, and like makes a fucking mess of this person, and it's amazing. He's just got guts and entrails all over the floor, and it's great, and I'm having a good old time. So it takes her back to his place, and now she's kind of dealing with the fact that like he knew this whole time that she was who like he thought she was, or whatever the fuck, like yeah, so yeah, that's what I said. Anyway, so she's kind of trying to figure out like what her place is in this world, because he told her from the beginning that he had no need of a consort, and she's like, what the fuck, like you hella rejected me. And so now we're finding out why. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you here. I'm gonna edit this video down because it's too fucking long, but yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying reading the series so far. I'm loving the little palette cleanser that we've got, but I'm really hoping that the spice kind of cuts off for a little bit. I know that the next of Blood and Ash book is gonna be like following the fact that Castile at the moment is not available and can't come to the phone right now. And we're not going to say why, because that's a big spoiler. But anyways, so the next book is going to be like female rage, I can tell. But I heard that there's going to be a little threesome event in the next book, and I'm kind of excited for it. But I'm going to enjoy the next 2 books of the prequel series thoroughly, best fucking believe, because he's cute. He's cute. Okay, he's the god of death. He's like 10 feet tall, and she's just like so short as fuck. Anyway, yes, I'm gonna leave you guys here, and I'll see you guys next time. See you. All right, you guys, it is officially the next morning, and as you can tell, I'm about to go to work, but I did want to pop in with you guys and let me know my thoughts. So I did end up reading a chapter last night, and I don't know if I really articulated last night, like, what my thoughts are on this book so far. I have read, like, officially half the book, and I'm on page 341 as of last night, and I don't know why, I'm loving the series so much better, dare I say. Like, Sarah and Ash's relationship have so much less miscommunication, and we don't spend an entire, well, so far, right? Knock on wood. This is child. We're not gonna talk about it. They don't spend an entire book. Well, at least the FMC doesn't spend an entire book like hating the MMC's guts. Like, she's all like, how do I say this? Okay, so I'm so bad at this. Sarah ends up like already knowing off the bat that Ash is like a god. He's something else. She just happens to not know like what type of god he is, right? So that's like the only lie slash miscommunication slash what do you call it? Lie by omission that he ends up doing. And she kind of gets over it rather quickly. She's just kind of like thrusted, literally. You're kind of like thrown into this world of like, you know, having to deal with the fact that everything that she's trained for her entire life is finally coming to fruition. So with that being said, as of last night, she's officially in the land of the dead, I guess. Like, kind of, it's like literally Elysium is what it's called. It's just spelled differently, but I'll like have it up here between the difference between Elysium and Elysium. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so after a night of Ash basically pampering her, he fucking washes her hair, and I'm not gonna lie, I was eating it up, and I'm like, we love the little intimacy moments. They end up talking a little bit, getting some things off their chest. He spends a little bit of time taking care of her in a certain place, and she loves it. But no full sex yet, which I'm loving, because literally the Blood and Ash series, all there is sex. And as much as I love a good solid intimate spicy moment, all they're doing is fucking. And I mean, like, literally just like every other page is like, oh, he pushed me against the wall and he did this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 in the shower and in the bed, and I'm tired of it. I don't care anymore. Move on with the plot, please. I'm tired of this plot. Anyways, the point is, the next day, like, Sarah ends up sleeping an entire fucking day after Ash leaves, like after their bath moment, and she finally wakes up and she's like, what fucking time is it? Like, I know that 24-hour nap hit her like a fucking truck. She probably woke up like, where the fuck am I? What day is it? What year is it? And I know what she's feeling because I've had those fucking naps before. I'm like, wait, do I have work right now? Did I miss work? Wait a second, it's still today. It's still the same day. But anyway, besides the point, I could never be her. She is mother. Anyway, so the point is, after a like quick little meet up with Ios. Ios is like her new best girly, her new best friend, her new girly best friend. And after she ends up leaving, so Ios ends up coming by, giving her some clothes, and they end up talking for a little bit, getting to know each other on a bit of a deeper level. She's still here. She's still only here for a solid couple minutes. Like she's only been in Elysium for like a day and a half, so she's still getting used to how everything's supposed to go. And later on, like as she's changing, she's like, wait a second. She looks like she's like looking around her room and she's like, is the door locked? I'd be so pissed if that fucking door was locked. I need to go check for myself. And she does. And she ends up opening it. She's like, yes, I ain't no prisoner no more. But then she ends up looking outside and she sees this tall blonde man that she met last night. She's like, Hector, what are you doing here? Can I help you? And he's like, no, I'm good. And she's like, what are you standing out there for? And he's like, well, I was supposed to guard you. And she's like, why? And I'm like, this Nyktos said to guard you. And she's like, why did Ash tell you to guard me? And she's like, wait a second. I didn't know you knew Nyktos on such a deep level to be calling him Ash. And she's like, well, that's all that he's had me ever call him. That's all I know him by, actually. So, but yeah. And after talking for a little bit, she's like, so when can I leave? And he's like, when Nyktos decides that you can leave. And she's like, well, when the fuck is that gonna be? And he's like, well, to be honest, he doesn't really know what to do with you. And she's like, I don't know what to do with me either, but like, what the fuck am I supposed to do in here? And he's like, I don't know, twiddle your fucking thumbs. And that's all that we have. And I thought it was really funny because both of them are like, I'm just here for the vibes. I'm literally just here for the vibes. And I'm here for the vibes too. I'm loving this fucking series. And dare I say I like it a little bit more than the Blood and Ash series. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I have gotten attached to Poppy. I've gotten attached to like all the characters and the world and all that stuff like that. But I don't know, I'm getting kind of tired. And Sarah's and Ash's relationship and just her whole personality, it's a breath of fresh air. Like literally, before reading the previous Blood and Ash book, like right before diving into the prequel, we do get to meet Nyktos, and we don't get to meet Sarah. Well, kind of. We're not going to talk about it, but we do meet Nyktos, but like he doesn't really talk about Sarah like that. He doesn't. He just says that like, he has a consort. And when Poppy asks like, oh, like more about her, like to get to know her, he's like, well, she's actually sleeping right now, and I'm not going to tell you anything because one-on-one conversations to your way out. This is my baby girl, and you don't need to know about her. And she's like, okay, I guess. And so yeah. So now we're diving into the prequel, which follows Sarah's story. And Sarah's his consort and the whole thing, whatever the fuck. But the funniest part is, this whole time, Sarah's been brought up as the maiden, different type of maiden than Poppy, whatever the fuck. But she's brought up her entire life to like essentially seduce and then murder this man. Ash is not supposed to be alive anymore because apparently it's supposed to like save the world and bring the crops back and all that fucking stuff. But like it's funny because Ash wasn't the guy who made the deal to begin with. And I'm not gonna say who it was or why, but like somebody really made the deal, died a couple hundred years later, and like now Ash had to take the pedestal of like being the god of death. And now Sarah is realizing this, and she's like, damn, I'm supposed to still kill this guy. Like, does he really have to die? Like, he's kind of cute. It wasn't really his fault. And you know, it's funny because literally in the beginning, like Nyktos Ash is like, I don't need a consort. I have no need for a consort. And she's like, damn, he just rejected me. Is it because I'm ugly? Like, what? And he's like, no, I literally just like, I wasn't the one who made the deal. It's not my fault. Don't bring me into this. I don't want anything to do with it. But anyway, yeah. Those are my thoughts so far. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna tell you guys more of my thoughts later. Hopefully, I'll finish the book by today because I want to have this whole reading vlog done by the end of the week. That would be a fucking miracle. But hey, we'll talk. We'll see. We'll talk about it. But yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in a bit. I'm hungry. Bye. Okay, as you can see, it is a few hours later, and I don't really know what to say on the book besides Mother and Daddy are fighting. They're not happy with each other right now. Not Poppy. I keep saying Poppy. Oh my gosh, I keep getting confused between Sarah and Poppy. Sarah ended up, well, it ended up coming out to everyone. Nyktos, Ash, like Ash and Nyktos are interchangeable to the same person, like all of their friends and everything else, that Sarah was actually there to, you know, Nyktos, Ash, and they're not cool right now. And like it's funny because at the end of this, the whole like fated mates and true love fixes everything or some shit like that trope came in, and Nyktos looks at her and she's like, fuck, there's no way that he's capable of like loving somebody like me. And like she told the people that they were around, they're like, how could you do this to him? like, this isn't fair for him. And he looks at her, he's like, fair for me? It's not fair for you. Like, what the fuck? So it's a whole bunch of shit happened. And of course, because everything happens in a bunch of stuff, but I definitely rated this 4 stars. Totally loved it. It's definitely a palate cleanser and a breath of fresh air compared to the Blood and Ash series. The Flesh and Fire series is definitely like prequel, but like explaining everything. And even though mother and daddy are upset right now, we know that they're gonna be fine because they have children in the future, right? Like from the Blood and Ash series, they got children, so like we know they're gonna be fine. They're gonna work it out. But yeah. Shout out to Daddy Nikdos because Sarah was a virgin, but he came with the manual. He came well prepared. He knew what to do, and I was just like, yes, yahoo, woohoo, woohoo. Anyway, I was eating it at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I'm gonna go eat my dinner, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. I just started the War of Two Queens book, and I probably got like 10 pages in, so definitely not a lot of thoughts besides the fact that our boy, what is his name? Oh my gosh. What is his name? Poppy's man's. I'm gonna answer it up here because I can't remember for the life of me. I want to call him Kai. His name is not Kai Azer or Kit Azer. Cass. There we go. Our boy Cass is kidnapped right now. He's in the dungeons. He's going through it. He's being tortured. He's having a time. And Poppy, she's preparing for war. I just got his POV from the first chapter, and that's another thing about the rest of the series. Like the starting from the War of Two Queens book, like we have multiple POVs. I know that we for sure have Poppy and Cass's POV. Will we have Kieran's? I would love to because apparently this is the book that they're supposed to have a threesome, and I'm here for it. But anyways, I'm gonna continue reading it. I'll catch with you guys tomorrow and see what my thoughts are. Bye. Good night. All right, you guys, I have officially finished The War of Two Queens, and to give you a very brief plot synopsis, um, our baby boy, our baby Cass, has been taken by the queen, and not just like the queen, but like Queen Ileana, Queen Isbeth, or whatever the heck her name is, and she's been keeping this fucker underground and doing all sorts of despicable things to him, but including like severing a couple of limbs. I'm not gonna say too much because it is a spoiler. And the entire book, throughout the halfway point, we're essentially trying to get our baby boy back, and we eventually do that. However, to do so, okay, so I'm sorry, this is a little hard to explain. So we end up going to negotiate for him, right? It doesn't work out because, of course, not. We have like over 600 pages left of the book. I'm sorry, 400 pages left of the book. Of course, it doesn't work out. Instead, the queen is like, "Oh, if you do this, then I'll give him back to you." And she's like, and Poppy's like, that's not gonna work for me. You're gonna give my man back now, today." And so what she ends up doing is she breaks his fucker out, which go her. We love a good queen. And we end up losing some people along the way. And I'm not gonna lie, the scenes were very heart wrenching. We could feel the emotion that Poppy was feeling. However, comma, I didn't care about the characters just because like I don't feel like we spent enough time with them. Like specific names would be tossed out there, like, oh, this specific person is dying, and I'm like, who are they? Because why don't I remember them? And maybe I just fucking forgot who they were, but like I don't think they were very prominent to the story anyway. But yeah, so they got murked out by some Craven, who, as we've established already, is a like zombie vampire type thing. Like literally, like they're zombies, as in they can recreate them, they can procreate via the way that zombies can, but they're vampires in the way that they do that. If that makes sense. So they're zombie vampires, and we end up getting our boy out. We end up leaving, and then she Isbeth ends up like catching them, and they're Isbeth is like, oh well, if you're thinking of like leaving, you're gonna actually do something else for me. So we almost get him out, right? But then Isbeth is like, oh well, actually, I need you to do something for me. So I need you to go get my husband and bring him to me. And we're like, absolutely the fuck not. Are you crazy? Like, no. And so Poppy just has no choice and she has to do that. So we bring this sir over here. He's still in his coffin. He's still murked up. He's still like millions of years old, just dead as a doornail. Just fucking sarcophagi ass esque. But anyway, so we bring him, right, but some shit happened, and so I don't know, I don't want to like spoil, but there is a there is this prophecy that is like Poppy is allegedly this like harbinger of destruction, and she's gonna bring about like the destruction of whatever the fuck, the realm or whatever, and it ends up coming to fruition even though everybody's trying to stop it. And in order for this to happen, I guess Isbeth was supposed to kill somebody that was really close to her, and she was gonna kill Poppy and her sister. That's spoiler. She does have a sister. We're not going to talk about who it is or where she comes from or how she came to be. She does have a sister, and she's going to probably interact with that more in the next book. Um, So we end up bringing about the big bad by not resurrecting. In order to resurrect the big bad, we had to kill somebody else. So Malik, who is Isbeth's man, the little dead as a doornail, the guy in the coffin, she straight up goes over to him, and we think that she's like, having a solid like reunion, like, oh my gosh, my baby boy is back, we're gonna bring him back to life, blah 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 blah, through like, blood and all that stuff, because of course this whole thing surrounds by vampirism, and blood and vampire, you know what I'm talking about, like blood and vampires go hand in hand and whatever. And so we, the reader, and everybody else is like, so we're probably gonna bring Malik back to life by giving him copious amounts of blood. However, that's not what happens. And I was just like sitting there like, huh? And we end up figuring out why, but I'm just like, huh? So Isbeth, the love of his life, stabs the love of her life in the chest with this blade that's supposed to kill him. We're just like, so why the fuck did we bring him here if you were just gonna kill him? We end up finding out why. That brings out the big bad. And so we end up having this big old fight scene, and of course I'm crying. I don't know if you can fucking see how red my face is. You definitely can't see how like watery my eyes were a little bit ago, but I wasn't sobbing, but I was crying because my baby boys, my little beans, my precious children were like, getting worked off the planet. The ones that I actually cared about. And so newsflash, they end up coming back. So if you read this series, don't be surprised that some people come back to life. And then we end up seeing so Poppy ends up having this like primal goddess takeover. Literally, she turned like she ends up sharing okay, so how do I articulate this? The Her great grandmother possesses her body and allows her to do all of these magnificent things because she's the goddess of life, essentially the primal of life, but goddess or whatever, top. And while bringing everybody back, she ends up like helping everything out or wrapping everything up, basically like giving everybody a fresh slate, preparing them for what's about to happen. Because in the first book of the Flesh and Fire series, we figure out that the rot is a curse placed upon the land because of this like primal of death guy. And I guess in the Flesh and Fire series, Seraphina and Nyktos Ash ends up like basically what do you call it, like putting a pause on that. But Poppy was never supposed to be born because otherwise it would have led to bringing back that rot, and that's exactly what happens. No, but not only that, the actual primal of death, because I guess Nyktos is actually like Ash is actually just a placeholder. I guess like the real OG primal of death. Baby boy wakes up, daddy wakes up, and he's pissed, he's hungry, he's mad, and he's hangry. He needs a Snickers. Not really, but yeah. So okay, I give this book a 4 stars, and you saw my you heard the tremble in my voice there. I want to give this a 4 point. I don't know, because it's not a 5 stars, definitely not. But that ending, it's always the fucking ending. You'll have like a solid 4-star book, and that ending will be like, ugh, 5 stars, absolutely 5 stars. No, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna be smart. We're gonna be mature. We're gonna be adults about this. Final rating 4.25. Not that it's a bad book. It is a really good book. However, there's too many spicy scenes. I'm getting sick of it. I'm actually starting to skim the spicy scenes. There is this moment where Poppy, Kieran, and Kieran is like best friend, baby boy's best friend, and Cass, we end up all having a threesome together. I'm just like, I'm here for it. I was here for it. I'm not gonna lie, I was here for it. Don't call me out. Whatever that says about me, keep it to yourself. I don't even want to know. However, it was symbolic, okay? It meant something. They didn't just fuck for no reason, okay? Kieran is still the best friend. We just happen to have a beneficial moment for everybody, actually. But yeah, I guess it was like a one-time thing, and I kind of looked up and spoiled for myself on Reddit and stuff. But that was like a one-time thing so far in the series. But yeah, super good. I recommend it because obviously we're still finishing the series. This is looking to be a 4-star series. I'm sure by the end of the series of like everything, because this is the From Blood and Ash universe, including the Flesh and Fire series, and including this other series that like barely came out a little bit ago. It's all part of the same universe, all leading up to the same plot. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say that this is a 4-star series so far. However, we still need to get through this book. I believe I'm gonna put, if I'm wrong here, up here somewhere, but I believe A Light in the Flame is the next read that we're supposed to read, and it is a Flesh and Fire novel, meaning it's the second book of the Flesh and Fire series. I'm really excited to get back into it because at this moment, fuck Poppy and Castile. I'm so tired of the sex, you guys. Literally, all they'll do is fuck. and make these sexual innuendos and be like, yeah, I'm about to tap that ass later, or like, yeah, I would love to fuck you in that armor, and just it was just, it's giving me the ick, and I'm getting sick of it. I'm not gonna lie. So this, we've technically had sex a couple of times, but it's very sweet. It means something. I feel my butterflies kicking. I'm kicking my feet throughout this whole moment. We're all having a good party time over here. But I am excited to get back into Seraphina and Ash's story. And I'm starting to think that I prefer Seraphina and Ash over Poppy and Castile. I'm gonna toss that out there right now. But obviously, these are the great grandparents, grandpappies of Poppy, so it's kind of funny because it's like we're essentially reading about sexy times with old people. But hey, we don't have to talk about that because at the end of the day, they're goddesses and gods and primals or whatever the fuck. So we live forever. We stay 25 forever, and it's great. But anyway, I'm tired. It's no, it's not a Saturday. It's a Thursday, and I'm really hoping to read this by Saturday because obviously I'm gonna like give myself the rest of the night because it is almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'm tired. But I'm gonna start this tomorrow, and hopefully she's not too thick, but hopefully I finish this by Saturday so that I can record and wrap up this video and have it uploaded to you guys by Sunday. How's that sound? You guys like that's the way it sounds? You like the way it sounds? Yeah, okay, let me know. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys whenever I next see you. And I'm not actually putting down any notes anymore because at the beginning of this vlog, I was like, oh, I'm gonna write notes for you guys and all these things and like tell you my thoughts and all this stuff. I'm tired. I'm so tired. Not because like I'm not enjoying those, but because everything that's happened between a couple of weeks ago since my book got stolen, which by the way, quick insert here, I did get the book back, so everything's good now. Everything's good now. However, having to switch between Kindle and preferring to read on my Kindle. Well, I don't have a Kindle, but like the Kindle app. And then like having the book and then writing down my thoughts. Like I just forget to write down my thoughts, and I just happen to have the thoughts when and where I have them. But I'm not having that many thoughts on the comments being said, and I'm starting to notice that why am I yelling? Am I yelling? Oh my gosh. I'm starting to notice that there's a lot of what do you call it? Like modern day terminology, and supposedly, allegedly, we're in a series adjacent to not necessarily medieval times, but like if you've watched Attack on Titan and the walls of like Rose, Maria, and whatever the fuck it is, I think it's like Saint or something. The town's energy and vibe of that is similar to the town's vibes and energy of this book, if that makes sense. Like it seems very old, and the terminology is not like, it's not, I don't think it should be this fresh, you know what I'm saying? But all that being said, I'm loving the characters that we've met along the way so far. I've gotten some new favorites, and I'm really glad that some of the characters in here that were allegedly killed off in this book are actually alive. I'm just gonna say that because we've got this sweet, gorgeous baby girl that we meet in the first book of the Flesh and Fire series. And when I heard that allegedly, allegedly some shit happened to my baby girl in this book, I was peeved. However, we did get to meet her big brother, and I was really happy because he grew into a soul. Let's just say that. He's quirky. He looked like he sounded like he on the spectrum. He's got a little taste of the tistic. He's an autistic statistic. No, autistic statistic. There we go. And I came up with that word last night that I thought it was funny. Anyway, yeah, he's definitely neurodivergent as fuck. He just does whatever the fuck he wants, and he's just weird, and I love it. Everyone's just like, ew, why would you do that? And he's just like, literally, that's the whole fucking energy. Just like fuck everybody. I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm here for it. I'm living for it. Yeah. So I said what I said, and I'll see you guys when I have more thoughts. Probably when I finish this next book because I'm starting to like high key binge the series, which is good because like I'm almost done with the series. Well, for the month at least, because this is like a 2-part series, video vlog series, whatever the fuck. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking, and I'll see you guys when I next see you. All right, you guys, I've officially finished A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this one I give a 4.25 stars. We went back in time, like hella long ago, probably like thousands of years ago, to go get back to what do you call it, Sarah and Ash's story. And in this story, we're okay. This is the second book in the Flesh and Fire series, correct? Right, exactly. And we still aren't cool with Ash. We're still not really like, okay, how do I put this? Like they're figuring out their relationship. However, comma, Ash is incapable, literally for reasons that we're not going to say because of spoilers, that he's just literally incapable of like loving somebody else. Like literally like that fiery, passionate like love for a significant other. He can care for others, but that's just like he can't love them, what I'm saying. So Sarah is going through this entire book knowing that, and then also understanding that she's going to become his consort. A whole bunch of stuff happens, but it's not really relevant just because, well, it is relevant for the story, but how do oh this is kind of annoying because I'm so deep into the from Blood and Ash universe that I'm just like, huh? The brain is no longer braining. We've gone 3 weeks to record this entire video, and I'm just losing my shit here. And I need a break. I need a break. And so I'm taking like a week off from reading anything from the from Blood and Ash series or the Flesh and Fire series, and I'm just reading like fluff, literally just fluff. I read The Mistake the other day, and it's just a fluffy romance. I literally read that in 2 sittings. It was perfect. It was amazing. It was awesome. I loved it. 4.5 stars probably. Anyway, so back to the From Blood and Ash universe. We learn more about the as you can see, there's like a little wolf here, and we learn more about the prophecy that Poppy and what is his name, Cat Kit no Castile. There we go. Poppy and Castile end up learning about in the previous book, and we kind of just get a background of like who Sarah is, why she's here, why we're doing this, and like why she's so important. And we end up learning that she's just gonna die at the end of the day, and it's really like it's not important, but it is, and it's just like Ash is just trying to like prevent that while also not trying to get too close to her. But overall, it's good. It's good plot armor or whatever the heck, and we end up getting some sort of like flirtation from other primals because now other primals are starting to realize who Sarah is, and the big bad in this book in the back in the beginning the big bad in the entire series, we end up finding out about him, and so he becomes more relevant as time goes on, but he like started here. The big bad in the entire universe is called Colas. He is the original god of life, no, god of death, and he ended up basically like killing Ash's like father and taking his essence because he wanted to become the god of life or the primal of life. And so what his father did, Ash's dad, he ended up like doing a Uno reverse card on him and basically was like, yeah, so you can take like most of me, like a solid 90%, I'll give you. However, comma, the last like 10%, I'm gonna, I'm just gonna save that for later. I'm gonna use that as pocket change for future use essentially. And I'm not gonna say who goes where and what goes how, but essentially that's what happens. And so Colas doesn't realize this, but he understands that he's not fully like he's not him. You know what I'm saying? He's not his dad. He's not Colas is not his brother in any shape or form, and he's not able to for various reasons. Sarah's point in this is very important. However, nobody can know what she is or who she is or why she is. You know what I'm saying? But Colas ends up realizing that at the end of the book, and essentially that's where we leave off. We leave off at the cliffhanger, and like Ash is like coming in to save the day or something, and we know that's just where we've been left off. The the love and pining in this kind of got annoying, and I won't lie, I did shed a few tears in this book. I was completely sobbing about at the halfway point just because your girl was cheated on a long ass time ago and it didn't feel very good, and I still have trauma about that. So when I read things like that, it's really hard because I'm like, fuck, that really sucks. I know exactly what she's going through, the insecurities that come up, all the stuff, and it really sucks. You know what I'm saying? So they end up like they end up figuring it out, and there's a big reason as to why, and it's not technically cheating, but it's cheating adjacent, and I still didn't like it, but still, he didn't have a choice in it. It was like non-consensual consent, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm gonna do a quick, hopefully quick recap of this entire series thus far, and kind of get wrap up this video because I know it's gonna be so long to edit, and I'm just gonna be so irritated. And just be prepared for like a 2 hour video. I'm not gonna lie. I have no fucks with this one, but hey, we read one, two, three, four, five, six. The first 6 books in the series, and I think we did pretty good. You know what I'm saying? We started with the From Blood and Ash book. This is the first one in the From Blood and Ash, well, the Blood and Ash series. There's 2 series, the Flesh and Fire series, which is a prequel from like thousands of years ago. We learn about Sarah and Ash. Ash is the primal of death. But in this book, we're talking about Poppy and Castile, and kind of just setting the whole scene. So we're in a world of like vampires, werewolves, and zombies, but the zombies are vampires, right? We kind of understand that by this point. And the zombie vampires were created by the vampires, but the vampires were created by the werewolves. Kind of, a little bit, just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But nobody knows that yet. So Poppy is a maiden, and she ends up like kind of attempting to in the so sorry, hard to explain. In the nights where she can't sleep, she ends up venturing into town to do things that the maiden cannot do. She's supposed to be this very like chastity belt type, um, innocent, demure, cutesy, just never done anything in her life before. And so to combat that, because she's like, what the fuck? I'm so bored doing nothing but being pure and all the time. She goes into town and ends up going to a brothel to kind of like safely venture out into the spicy. You know what I'm saying? She ends up falling upon literally this guy named Castile, and he ends up he's going by the name. Ugh, huh. She ends up falling upon this guy named Castile, but at the time he goes by the name Hawk. Hawk and her end up having Hawk and Poppy end up having some intimate scenes, but no, not going past like making out and kissing and all that stuff. A few weeks later, she ends up finding out that Hawk is actually supposed to be her bodyguard now because her old bodyguard died. Oops, that sucks, right? And Poppy ends up finding out later that Hawk this entire time is not who he says he is. He's like some random dude where we're like, what the fuck? How are you even let in the kingdom? Like, what are you doing? And he ends up kidnapping her. So throughout the entire second book, ugh, this was a little annoying, I'm not gonna lie. The entire second book, Poppy's just trying to kill this motherfucker because valid, she did get kidnapped by him, but he kidnapped her for a reason. He's not just morally gray, he's morally gray, you know what I'm saying? He's got the white part as well. He's trying to do good. He's got a reason behind all these plans. And so they end up finally hashing shit out. Poppy ends up realizing that the world as she knows it is not as she knows it. And she's been lied to, groomed, and, fucked over her entire life. And now she's realizing that nothing is as it seems. Castile in this place is trying to, tell her what's really going on. So Castile's actually, like, the original vampire, part of the original vampire clan, you know what I'm saying? And their clans allegedly ended up creating the vampires as we know it today. And these vampires are going to be forever known from here on forward as the Ascended. Castile and his clan are from here on out going to be known as Atlanteans. The Atlanteans and the Ascendeds don't fuck with each other at all. Atlanteans do have these bondeds called well, we're just gonna call them werewolves, but they're called the Wolven, and they kind of don't really play a factor into the whole like creating of the vampires and all that stuff. But Castile and his Wolven, his name is Kieran, they end up getting along as well. You know what I'm saying? So he ends up telling Poppy the rest of the history, and it's kind of okay. Long story short, some shit happened a long ass fucking time ago, and these two characters, a male and a female, they're lovers and all that stuff. The female ends up almost dying, and so it kind of sucks. And so what ended up happening afterwards was her lover ended up creating the first vampire as we know it today, as she's what's called the Ascended, and that basically like created the entire Ascended and their royalty, their whatever the fuck else, like everything that Poppy knew about the Ascended. It's the complete opposite. So she was told as a young kid that the Atlanteans are like the reasons that the zombie vampires are here today. Actually, the Ascended are the ones creating the zombie vampires known as the Craven. And yeah, so now we know why everything sucks. And so in the third book, well, at the end of this book, like we're kind of cool with each other. As far as like Poppy and Castile's relationship, like Poppy and Castile dive more into their love and their love for each other, and they kind of get to know each other a bit more. And they just go through a bunch of stuff. And at the end of this book, some shit happens where eventually Castile and Poppy. No, does that happen in the next book? Let me just double check my words for here real quick. We'll talk about it in a moment. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So at the end of this book, Poppy and Castile finally get to Atlantia to basically essentially meet their parents. They do have the whole fake marriage trope in this book, but they do eventually get married. That's the whole point anyway. But after getting to Atlantia, everyone kind of hates Poppy because she's known as the maiden, and Poppy's realizing that everyone hates her justly but unjustly because she's not done anything wrong. She's been groomed her entire life to hate the Atlanteans, but the Ascended are really the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? So like Poppy's realizing all this shit. She's like, I'm on your side, the Atlanteans. I'm on your side. Don't worry about it. I got you, babe. But they still don't fuck with her. They hella don't trust her. There's also a coup going on and all that stuff. So shit's going down. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of it, at the end of the book, Poppy ends up going into this temple of the basically like the god, the primal of death, and she ends up having this like realization moment that she is that girl, and other people notice it and they don't fuck with that, and so they end up throwing stones at this girl. This girl got stoned. For what reason? It fucking sucks. But basically, they just don't fuck with her. It's very highly discriminatory. They said, "Well, it's on site, my hoe. You gonna get stoned today," and she ends up killing them all. The end. Literally the end. And so in the third book, we go right into it. Poppy's no, Castiel's mom and dad the king and queen ended up coming over to the temple to see what the fuck's going on. Everyone's dead, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And so they see this one person standing, Poppy, and they're like, "She did it. She did it. Girl, what's going on?" And the mama ends up coming over, and she's like, "Yeah, you are indeed that hoe. You are indeed that bitch. You are indeed a queen." Everybody bows, except for the people that don't fuck with her. Then a whole coup goes on. She gets kidnapped again by somebody else. It's the the king and queen's trusted advisor. I knew the whole time who it was at the beginning. I'm not gonna say who it was because it's a spoiler, but it doesn't matter because he dies anyway, and so we just don't care about it. But to move on, at the end of this story, at the end of the Crown of Gilded Bones, I believe this is when Poppy ends up going back to, like, stand up for herself and start the war and all this shit or whatever the fuck, and I mean, like, figure it out at first, I guess, but yeah, so she ends up going back and fights her mother, essentially. It goes horribly wrong, as always, because we fucking knew this shit. So her mom is actually, well, I can't really say because it's heavy spoiler, but the big bad in this, there's like a bunch of, there's a bunch of big bads that lead up to the big bad. You know what I'm saying? There's like the big bad and there's like a bunch of big bads. The Queen of the Ascended, basically raised Poppy her entire life, and at one point, Poppy ends up realizing who she actually is, and she ends up going to fight her. Turned out horribly wrong. Castiel got kidnapped. Now he's back in this cell that he was when he was like a lot younger. I'm talking hundreds of years ago, and because everybody's immortal in this book, I guess. And so he ends up like going back to his cell and to get captured again to save Poppy from going ballistic. It wasn't going very well anyway. She was losing the fight. And so in this book, in this next book, I feel like Jennifer L. Armentrout really fucking loves to just. Where was I even going with this? Oh my gosh. Yeah, the cliffhanger. She really loves to put us on cliffhangers. So Shadow in the Ember is actually back in time. We said, you know what? We're going to take a break from Poppy and Castiel. We're going to introduce you to Sarah and Ash. And the reason I was so happy to read this as a palate cleanser was because in this fucking series, there are two things that kind of get annoying after book 2. There is the constant bringing up of, you just have so many questions, don't you? It's your entire fucking personality. Because the main character, Poppy, will be like, I have a question. And then Kieran, who is Castiel's Wolven / best friend / bonded / buddy, will say, oh, well, of course you have a question. That's like your entire personality. And we know that as the reader, that she just has a bunch of questions. She's a very inquisitive person and being and stuff like that. However, we don't need to be told about it. You know what I'm saying? We're just over it. And the second thing that really gets me going in a negative way, in the opposite way actually, is the same reason that I can no longer feel any sort of sexual pleasure or arousal from watching Game of Thrones. And that is the sheer amount of casual sex scenes that we just don't care about anymore. So after Poppy and Castiel have sex in the first book, Poppy ends up saying, yeah, fuck you, Castiel. I don't really fuck with you at all, and I'm very betrayed by you. However, a couple books later, when they fuck with each other again, they're literally fucking each other every other page. And it will go on for scene after scene after page after page after page after chapter. And I'm just like, I'm bored. This could have been 200 pages shorter if we cut out 90% of the sex scenes and been left with a couple of closed doors. I would have been happy. I was fucking bored. I was starting to skim scenes by the time I got to the Two Queens book. Or no, I'm so sorry. I actually started skipping scenes at the Crown of Gilded Bones book because I was just like, I'm so tired of this. I'm bored. I'm tired of seeing his slick, juicy, thick shaft and all this stuff. I was just bored as fuck. However, I went back in time a couple thousand years, and we meet Sarah and Ash. Sarah is another maiden, but kind of maiden adjacent. She's known as the Chosen, or she's not really known as a Chosen either. She's just a girl. She's a girl who's treated like the maiden. She has to wear the gown and the veil, and she's supposed to have a chastity belt on, like metaphorically, probably literally, but she doesn't. She said, you know what? I'm like I'm like 20 or so. I'm gonna go out and do all the things, cause fuck you. So she was supposed to end up being chosen by Sorry, let me backtrack. So her ancestors, grandfather, or some shit like that, made a deal with the prime, like the OG primal of death, like a long ass time ago. And in the future, his son was supposed to marry, or basically take on Sarah as a consort, marry, consort, queen. Basically, kind of goes all in hand in hand. She's supposed to be a wife, you know what I'm saying? So when she turned 17 or 18, I forget which one, but I'm assuming that in this series she's of age. The primal of death, like the new one, the son, Ash, who took over for his dad as the primal of death, comes to see Sarah and basically says, "Ew, yeah, I'm good. I don't need you, ho," and ditches her. He straight up rejects her without even seeing her face, which is fine because that's like the whole point of the veil. But he's just like, "Yeah, no, I'm good, fam," and she dips out. Which I feel like you could have written an email. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you couldn't have written a letter and say, "Yeah, I'm not interested. Bye." But the whole point of this consortism, or that's probably not a word, but the whole point of her being his consort was so that she could get close to him and kill him, um, and bring an end to what's called as the rot, well, what's known as the rot that's in her kingdom. Basically, like none of the people can grow crops or anymore, and so their food supply is heavily dwindling. And her marrying the primal of death was meant to like take care of that issue. Primal of death, however, didn't know that him taking her as his consort, like he didn't know about the deal. He didn't know that Sarah was supposed to kill him, and she's been groomed her whole life to do just that. And so when he eventually finds out, well, let me just backtrack a little bit. So a few years later, they end up meeting each other accidentally, but he ends up noticing her. He ends up knowing who she is right away, but she doesn't know that he knows who she is. You know what I'm saying? It's like the I don't know that you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that he knows that I know. You know what I'm saying? So the whole point being, they end up finding each other a whole long time later. Well, a few years later, and Poppy or Sarah is like hella older now, and Sarah's like, I lost my train of thought. Oh my goodness. Sarah's outside, like hunting down these people that are going after some other people, and actually Ash is out here doing the same damn thing. So they end up meeting each other, and in order to stay inconspicuous and not be noticed, Ash straight up puts her against the wall and starts making out with her consent. You just like kiss me, they start making out and shit. And they after Sarah ends up having the most mind blowing like arousal ever, they part ways. And a few days later, they end up meeting each other again for a whole bunch of other reasons. And eventually, Sarah ends up going to her lake and they meet again. And after that point, they meet again because Sarah realizes who the fuck he is. And she's like, "How dare you?" She's all mad at him and shit. She's like, "How dare you not accept me as your consort? Like, what the fuck? I thought we had a deal." What the fuck? But Ash isn't the one who made that deal. So he's like, "Well, fuck you. I didn't make the deal in the first place. You're just going to have to deal with it." But he ends up taking her back to the kingdom of whatever the fuck. I'm just going to call it heaven or the god realm or whatever the heck you were going to call it for the rest of this book. I just forgot. I'm so sorry. But he ends up taking her back. Eventually, during the midst of, oh, Ash is also a virgin. I'm so sorry. I meant to mention that. Ash is a straight up fucking virgin. Has never had sex before in his life, but somehow he has all these moves. And Sarah is astounded. She's like, "What the actual? That is the best sex I've ever had." But besides the point, um, yeah, after she takes his virginity, which honestly, power play, hella support the girl's moves, in decisions and all that stuff. Ash ends up finding out that Sarah is like supposed to kill him, and so he doesn't trust her anymore. Blah blah blah. And we go like he quickly figures out that she was forced to do this. Like she didn't want to. She just like was groomed to be the one to kill him her entire life. But the end game of this entire point is that she's supposed to become his consort, and so he's basically made it clear that she's only going to be consort in name only, in title only. They will not have any sort of relationship, but of course attraction and lust just continues to happen, and so they're fucking anyway. It's kind of just like, I'm fucking you because you're just, you're the only thing available. And I guess they don't have any fucking sex toys in this world. All right, I couldn't fuck somebody without, falling for them or having feelings for them. That's just not who I am. But you know what? That's not who Sarah is either. Ash is like, "Oh well, we're just gonna fuck for no reason. Fuck buddies, pleasure for pleasure." You know what I'm saying? And Sarah's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm totally on board with that." And of course, Sarah ends up catching feelings, and she's like, "No." To hold myself back. I can't just be fucking him to love him. I have to be fucking him to fuck him. Blah, 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 blah. We don't care. Honestly, at a certain point in the second book of the Flood from Blood and Ash book, I'm sorry, from Flood blah, 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 in the beginning, the second book of the Flesh and Fire series, I'm losing my goddamn mind. I started skimming the scenes as well. I was like, I'm so over this. I'm here for the plot. I'm not here for that plot. I'm here for the plot. Um, But so the point is, yeah. So let me think about it for a second before I continue on because my words are non-existent. Yeah, so the big bad, Colas, ends up realizing that there's a new visitor in town. There's a new girly in town by the name of Sarah, and he doesn't really fuck with that. So he's like, I'm gonna go check her out because she's doing some things that I don't really fuck with. Sarah actually has the power to bring people back to life, and Colas doesn't like that because he's supposed to be the primal of life after, murking Ash's daddy. It didn't go as to plan, but nobody else knows that. Only Colas knows that, and his, trusted advisors and all those things. So he tries to put an end to Sarah's life a bunch of times, like a bunch of times. It doesn't work out. Some people die, but we don't really care about it because they get brought back to life anyway. And besides the point, Cole's daddy's upset. But we're going to actually dive back into the From Blood and Ash book series because we have to go save Castile. Castile, for the first half of this book, is in a dungeon, and we don't really care about it. It does suck that he's in there because, Poppy needs her boyfriend's man, or she needs her man's, down there, third leg type shit. And she's also missing him, so she ends up going batshit fucking crazy, and it is like a girl on revenge. No, a girl hunting for revenge on the rise or something like that. She's turned into her revenge. She's having her revenge era, so she ends up like. It's called a War of Two Queens, by the way, and if if that doesn't make any sense, it's basically like she's I'm so sorry, my brain is not raining at all. This is so horrible. It's a long series and you can tell like it's taking it out of me. But she is just roughing it up across the country and leaving destruction in her wake. But she does like she's only killing the ascended. Like everybody else, like they're safe and stuff. They have their own choice to like leave and they're believe that they've been told a lie and all that stuff and make their own truth or whatever the heck else. But eventually Poppy ends up getting her man back. They end up killing the ascended queen eventually, like at the very end of the book. And actually, fun fact, Sarah and Poppy end up teaming up. Who would have thunk? Sarah casually takes over Poppy's body in a very, very casual possession, and they end up like finishing off the ascended queen, and they, took care of everybody who died in that fight scene and brought them back to life. So it's like don't cry over but the people that died in this series because they will probably 90% of the time get taken back or be brought back to life. So yeah, all the stuttering aside, we find out who the real big bad is. Colas. Colas really fucking sucks. So Colas, a long fucking time ago, just gonna tell you why he's so important and why he's officially the big bad of the big bads. A long ass time ago, he met a woman in the forest, just hanging out, chilling, like just frolicking around. And he's like, "You're cute as fuck. I'm gonna kidnap you and take you home back to my place. And we'll just have the most glorious sex. I'll groom you to be my wife, and we'll have great babies." She didn't like that. Fucking obviously. And my brain's not braining anymore. Otherwise, I would come up with a better word for obviously. But yeah, she didn't like that idea, and which is fair. That's another word for obviously. But she ended up throwing her ass off a cliff. She said, "You're mid as fuck." Whee! And like falls off the cliff, dies, and he tries to bring her back to life. But being the god of death, he's not able to do that. So he ends up calling upon his brother, who's the god of life, and he's like, "Hey, homie, my pussy died. Can you bring her back to life for me? Oh, this is so funny. My pocket pussy died. I need some more batteries." That's not funny. That's kind of funny, but it's not funny. Anyways, so yeah, that's essentially how he was gonna treat her, anyways, because of how awful he is. But yeah, my pocket pussy died. Can you bring her back for me? He said, "No, thank you. I'm good." He said, "That's not how it works, dog." So yeah, he ends up that's what spurred his whole thing of like taking over the primal of life to become the primal of life and switching places because he's like, "Well, fuck you. If you're gonna say no, then I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna figure out how the fuck we're gonna do it anyway." But of course, we got to keep the balance intact, and of course, he threw it off, and it didn't work anyway. And so what happened was Little Miss Pocket Pussy's soul. Her name is Satoria, but we're just not supposed to say her name anyway. So your girl's soul got instead of being taken to the afterlife to live in peace, the primal of life, the god of life, interchangeable basically, decided to reincarnate her so that Colas would never have a chance to be with her again. However, that logic doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, supposedly, allegedly, the veil that was placed upon her, get it? Veil, was supposed to make it so that he wouldn't be able to recognize her in every single lifetime. it didn't work out very well. And so where our girl Sarah comes in and why she's so important is because not only did the Primal of Life, before he got murked over, like this is the OG Primal of Life. I forgot his name. It starts with an E. I guess I'll put it up here if I can. He ended up putting the last two pieces of his soul inside of her. That's funny. And so when she grew up, the reason she was supposed to become Ash's consort to begin with was because she was supposed to give those embers back to him. Those pieces that he put inside of her, she was supposed to give it back to his son Ash, so that he could become the true Primal of Life. Why he didn't just place them in his son, I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, because then Colas would be like, well, I'm just going to kill your son and take those embers for myself. And so maybe that was kind of like a little workaround or something like that. I have no idea. But being besides the point, in this last book that I read this month, we realized, this is the Light in the Flame book, we realized that that's not really possible, because Ash kind of cares for our girl. And in order for him to become the Primal of Life, he would have to take those embers out of her. The only way that can happen is if she completely dies. But the pussy is just so good. Okay, I'll stop now. So, yeah, he says, yeah, that's not going to happen. But not only does she have those embers inside of her, she's also Satoria. Not really, but kind of. Satoria and her are kind of sharing the same body, because Satoria got reincarnated as Seraphina, as Sarah. But they're actually just two souls in the same body, which is kind of cool, I guess, but not really. Yeah, so Seraphina ends up getting kidnapped, and at the very end of the book, she kind of comes out and says, yeah, I'm actually your pocket pussy. We both don't fuck with you, and you're gonna get murked. And he's like, well, actually, Uno reverse card, you're not getting out of here alive. However, Uno reverse card, Ash shows up. Ash shows up at the very end of this, and we just see this wolf off in the distance, and we know it's Ash, because Ash has been depicted as having these two forms, one of which is a wolf in white fur, and that's, who shows up at the end. So yeah, this whole series is probably a 4-star series, but there's too many goddamn books. Now, the Throne of Glass series is like my fucking Roman Empire 6-star book. Just absolutely fucking love it. We'll read it every single year on repeat. It's a must for me. It's just my brain does not function unless I see my bestie characters get, go through the motions. It's only an 8-book series though. This is like a 15 fucking book series, and I'm too fucking tired to read it. So yeah, here's part 1. This isn't a bad series, I promise. If you can get over like the obnoxious amount of sex scenes in this book, where they're just straight up raw dogging it, and at points they don't even bring any intimacy in it. They're just like fuck, yum, 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 yum. You get over it, you know what I'm saying? But it's okay, because at the end of the day, it's not a bad series. It's actually pretty good, and I'm kind of eating it up breakfast, lunch, and dinner at this point, because I'm also I'm also halfway through, which kind of brings me peace of mind. Which means, because it means that next month I'll be finished with the series, and I can give you my part 2 reading vlog, and it's great. Everything's fine, and we're just having such good time here. Now that that's over, you can see that we have 2 books left. These 2 books, now if you don't know, sorry, quick side note, because of course this is my channel and that's what we're all about here. Goodreads has this part of the app Goodreads has the Goodreads app and website has this portion of it where you can apply for books essentially as part of a giveaway, and you can enter in, there we go, to get those giveaways. They're not guaranteed in the slightest, and a lot of times the only ones that I've ever gotten are like the Kindle editions. And so it's cool, because I get an instant copy of it in my Kindle account. But I have at this point won probably 10 giveaways in the past few months, and one of them, well, 2 of them actually, finally came in. So we have 7 for a Secret, and it's funny because these are arcs. These are not out yet, and I feel so blessed, because that means that I get to read them. Well, I probably won't read them until after they're out anyway, but it's fine. It's fine, because it's cool anyway. I'm not a huge channel by any means. I'm not even really considered like a small channel. Like, I don't make any money off of any of these videos. This is just fun for me, you know what I'm saying? I do this in my free time. So to have officially kind of not really received an arc, it's kind of fucking a big deal for me. It's kind of a big deal for me. And so this is 7 for a Secret by Mary E. Roach. And I'll put this in another video so you don't have to watch this 2 hour long video in order to see what book comes at the end. So I'll, these books will be back in a couple of another videos. So I'll just like go ahead and let you know what they're about. So in Seven for a Secret by Mary E. Roach, we are set in a town where there's an orphanage that houses these young girls that nobody cares about. However, a lot of these girls end up going missing. In 6 months, 8 girls go missing and none of them return. But one girl does, and so she ends up going through this moment where she tries to forget what happened to her during her disappearance. But she understands that in order to get everybody else back that disappeared, she has to figure out what the fuck's going on and kind of deep delve into the lore of why this town kind of sucks. So she does that, and then um as Nev is pulled deeper into Avon the town secrets, and as more bodies pile up, she must unravel the mysteries locked in her own mind as she hunts down a killer who is willing to do anything to make sure the past stays buried. Sadie meets the female of species as lost sisters, female rage, and the determination to survive determination to survive drive Nev and her propulsive journey to find answers and peace and maybe revenge. This is really cute. I'm actually looking forward to reading it. I am a fantasy romantasy type of girly. I'm not really a mystery thriller type of girly, but at this point I'm like, I want to kind of branch off and find new genres to enjoy. So this was my attempt, and my attempt kind of came true. So we shall read this in an upcoming, month or two if I can fit it anywhere in my TBR, because as you guys know, my TBR for the month of or I'm sorry, for the year of 2025 and kind of now year of 2026 is already full. So we'll try to fit this in somewhere. It is a relatively thin book. She's only probably less than 300 pages. Actually, basically 302 pages. That's a solid book right there. And the writing is like relatively large, kind of. It's like a medium, regular font writing. So it's easy to read and easy to hopefully digest. Next, we have the I'm sorry if you can't see this, the lighting kind of sucks in here. But next we have The Coffee Shop in an Alternate Universe by CB Lee. As you can see, actually, this has sprayed edges, you guys, and it's so cute. It has enough, like it's not like art or anything, but it's literally just a solid shaded purple. But it's kind of cute. As you can see, we have two characters in here. We have a guy and a girl, what looks to be a guy and a girl sharing some coffee with the cat on a rug and a mug somewhere else. And this book is an LGBTQ plus romance slash kind of like what do you call it, like magical realism, possible like magical entities in this book. And this girl named Brenda ends up going to a coffee shop after her internet runs out in her house. Totally understand being a homeless girly, when you forget to pay the light bill or the electronic or Wi-Fi bill, it kind of just really sucks, you know what I'm saying? So she ends up stumbling into this coffee shop and she ends up finding a girl named Kat. Her and Kat kind of have these wonderful conversations, and after telling Kat her 19-step plan to save the world through science, they're like, well, I need to continue getting to know you. However, this coffee shop is a place where alternate universes come to collide and hang out and chill. And so, literally, in order to go on a second date, they have to, go to this coffee shop. And so, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the plot synopsis on the back, so that you guys can get a better way of understanding what this book is about, because I probably am not the best person to tell you what it's about. So when Brenda's internet goes out right before an important scholarship deadline, she stumbles into Kat's family's coffee shop. Brenda is swept away by a cool, confident Kat who actually cares about Brenda's 19-step plan to save the world through science. Meanwhile, Kat can't stop thinking about Brenda, who is smart, passionate, and doesn't seem to care that Kat is the prophesized chosen one. The only problem, Kat and Brenda are from different universe, like need to go on a portal to go on a second date, different universes. As their realities collide and things spiral out of control, can a girl determined to save the world find love with a girl determined to outrun her destiny? I don't know what this book means by, or what the author means by Kat being the chosen one. Maybe she's supposed to save the world and through whatever means, and I'm sure we'll figure out, that whole part, like that whole thing by the book, by reading this book. This is 380 or so pages, 388 or so pages, well, including the author's note. So in total, we have 383 pages. This is a little bit more on the like average romantasy fiction type of side. So yeah, two new books to add to the in the beginning. I'm starting to lose my mind. as you can see, because I've been talking for almost 40 minutes. Way to add to the video, Jen. Anyway, so I've been talking for too damn long, and those are my thoughts on the first half of the series. And so if you care enough, go ahead and add a like down below, comment if you haven't already, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys hopefully next week for my June TBR wrap up. Have a good day, you guys.